Chapter 6256. Chapter 6256. Coastal Guard. To support is to support. The only difficult thing to do is to imprison. Scarbolt arranged a cave to imprison these people. With number 50 knife and axe hand in charge, and an iron fence to block off, Jian Wushuang can feel at ease. He was busy until dawn, and Jian Wushuang did not close his eyes to rest. Instead, at the gate of the market in the morning, the people of the entire Shajia town were called to watch the beheading. Who cut it? Chen Matzi. Wang Xian. One yamen catches the head, and the other Shijiaku carries the handle. The two of them oppressed the people of Shajia town a lot. At this time, I suddenly heard that I was going to be beheaded, and I couldn't believe it. They came here to watch. When they saw the stubborn man, it was not surprising at all. The prisoner who sat behind the long table on the high platform was a good day. At this moment, there was both excitement and anxiety in his eyes. And Jian Wushuang stood behind him with his hands behind his back, and whispered, "Brother Liangchen, you are killing the people, you should be happy." "Happy?" Liangchen frowned, shook his head and said, "I really don't know who to be happy for." He knew what Jian Wushuang was going to do. It is nothing more than to use his reputation to stabilize Shajia town. He did receive a good reputation, but what about Jian Wushuang? Acquired the entire Shajia town. This bandit is getting more and more incomprehensible to him, and the ambition he shows also makes him a little scared. "What, are you sorry?" Jian Wushuang didn't take it seriously, and said indifferently, "If you are afraid, you can leave at any time. I will kill these two bullies myself, and I can control the entire Shajia town. You can't keep it, but don't worry, I won't kill you. You can go to Qingzhou town and continue to be your catcher. Maybe you can be the chief catcher with your connections." Tai Mian Liangchen's face trembled, and he is now being held here. Can't go. Gone, contrary to his aspirations. If you don't leave, you will commit suicide by smuggling the head of the yamen, which is a serious crime. In addition, he mixed with Jian Wushuang and these bandits to kill the yamen catcher, and he was completely bound to Jian Wushuang's worship. As Jian Wushuang said, he is leaving now. In fact, it's not a big deal, at most there are some suspicions. But his reputation could not be preserved. It's not that he values his reputation, but it goes against his own aspirations. He was not reconciled. So sitting here is like sitting on pins and needles. There are so many things I want to say, but I can't open my mouth. Jian Wushuang looked at him and couldn't help but laugh. "Don't worry, I will do the dirty work, you just need to watch, and you will be responsible for the security of the entire Shajia town in the future. I will never interfere, and I will not cover up anyone, you can do everything you dare." Patting each other on the shoulder, Jian Wushuang walked up to the high platform. Chen Matzi and headcatcher Wang Xian were tied upside down. He also had a rag in his mouth. Jian Wushuang stepped forward, holding a cold steel knife in his hand. He didn't act in a hurry, patted Chen Matzi's big head, looked at the people of Shajia town under the stage, and talked freely. "First introduce myself." He is not rebelling but acting for heaven. Now the imperial court is incompetent, with bullies colluding with corrupt officials. The court doesn't care, he takes care of it. However, he pushed the person who took the lead to a good day. Originally, they all had expressions of fear or doubt, but after hearing that Tai Mian Liangchen was the main messenger, they all jumped up excitedly. Of course, most people are Jian Wushuang inserted to drive the atmosphere. Some people took the opportunity to shout to kill the bullies and get rid of corrupt officials. Pushed the atmosphere to a climax. When the time was right, Jian Wushuang raised his steel knife and neatly dealt with the two bullies and corrupt officials who had been entrenched in Shajia town for decades. From today onwards, the yamen in Shajia town will only have a good reputation, and there will be no bullies in Shijiaku, only the coastal guards. Shout out again. Jian Wushuang was very satisfied. He threw the steel knife to Xiang Yang and walked towards the iron-faced good day of slashing. "Brother Liangchen, at this moment, why don't you go up and say a few words?" There was another cry below. The will of the people. Although Tai Mian Liangchen was a little awkward, he was very happy to be able to get rid of the two bullies, but he was afraid that Jian Wushuang would become the next Chen Matzi. But when he heard about the Coast Guard, he dispelled this concern. He had a personal acquaintance and was familiar with history. I know what people like Jian Wushuang do. Not just staring at one Shajia town. After the scruples were gone, he was no longer nervous, but accepted everything. Take the initiative to get up and go to promise everyone in Shajia town that they will do their best in the future. Jian Wushuang stood behind, watching all this. Shajia town has already grasped the palm of his hand unknowingly. With a good day to guarantee him, these people's trust in him will increase a lot, and then they will be able to gradually start the follow-up plan. What I said at the wine table was not just bragging. After Shajia town stabilized in this respect, Jian Wushuang started to make a big deal in Shijiaku. All the merchant ships coming from upstream were detained. Even people bring goods, all take away. It even pulled out some of the reselling ordnance directly. This is what Tai Mian Liangchen hates the most. So I personally brought the ordnance to the market in Shajia town. He denounced the incompetence of the imperial court and the cunning of corrupt officials. This made him admire Jian Wushuang more and more, and felt that Jian Wushuang must be someone who does big things. Just 10 days passed. Shajia town has a new look. In Shijiaku, dozens of merchant ships are parked. Countless gold and silver jewelry and armaments. Enough to attract a team of thousands of people. In just a few days, Jian Wushuang turned the small pier into a big pier. After eating so much, the next step is to expand the manpower. The porters used these days are young and strong from Shajia town. The 200 people they got earlier have formed an army. Xiang Yang served as the coastal general. 200 people, 100 of them are heavy infantry, responsible for guarding Shijiaku. There are also 50 people who were taken away by Tai Mian Liangchen and are responsible for the safety of Shajia town. The last 50 were cavalry. There is no combat power at present, and I have just learned the minimum. But the follow-up will also be practiced soon, and Xiang Yang will personally command it. Jian Wu has no soldier in his hands. Wang Lun was in charge of Shijiaku and was in charge of 100 people. These people are also Wang Lun's cronies. Jian Wushuang did this deliberately because he was afraid of these people's slander. Made Wang Lun think carefully. In the early preparations, everyone must be united. Therefore, Jian Wu has no soldier in his hands. On this day, he sent someone to ask Scar to travel from Shaoquan to Shijiaku. He also asked people to invite a good day. On the bamboo building in Shijiaku, a simple dinner, plus a few jars of spirits. Those who come are also their own people. After sitting down, there is no extra politeness. Jian Wushuang took the lead and said, "At present, Shajia town is stable. We should expand our troops. Those weapons are not used by the imperial court." Chapter 6257. Chapter 6257. The Dream of the Deer. This big talk. Wang Lun was stunned for a moment, but he didn't speak, but there was concern in his eyes. I feel that Jian Wushuang is a little too ambitious. Wang Lun's highest ambition is Zhaoan, but to be sanctioned by the country of Vietnam. So he didn't dare to speak ill of Vietnam at this time. But let him call Jiangguo's attention, absolutely nothing. Tai Mian Liangchen is different. He can do anything to anyone, but it must be in line with his own aspirations. So the two of them are a little bit different. But Wang Lun knew that it would be possible without him now, but he couldn't be without a good time. There are thousands of households in Shajia town. We must rely on good luck to govern. He was only responsible for hijacking some merchant ships at the dock. What Jian Wushuang wants is this kind of check and balance, so that they understand their position. Wushuang is right. At present, merchant ships rarely pass through Shijiaku. Those porters have no income. Sooner or later, something will happen. It's better to start recruiting from those porters. Tai Mian Liangchen expressed his intentions. In fact, this is what everyone thinks in their hearts, and naturally no one objects. After seeing what the other party said, Jian Wushuang pretended to frown and said, "In fact, we are still one step away from expanding the manpower. It's not enough to have manpower alone. There is not enough people to teach and manage, and there are not enough talents." Saying that, he sighed and shook his head. Seeing this, Liangchen immediately proposed, "This is simple. Didn't we capture some court officers and soldiers earlier? Why don't we recruit them? That's a good idea." Wang Lun nodded, but looked at Jian Wushuang. It takes Jian Wushuang to speak up to know this. After all, people are caught by Jian Wushuang. And these days Jian Wushuang has not spoken about this matter. He feels that Jian Wushuang must have paid attention. I have already thought about it. But it takes one person to lobby. He still has to let the good old days go, and he has to take down the entire Qingzhou town. It was a military town, and there were many seedlings. With proper use, it is very easy to pull out a team of 5,000 people. And it has an organizational system, which can train elite troops in batches. Wang Lun and Scar Xuan looked at Jian Wushuang, while Jian Wushuang looked at Tai Mian Liangchen. As for Xiang Yang, drinking alone, he doesn't care. Tai Mian Liangchen was a little embarrassed to be seen, and he spread his hands and said, "If you need help, just ask. I'm actually not familiar with that tiger-headed captain." Let's not talk about this. I learned from the merchant ships guy a few days ago that the current situation in Jiang country is not very good. The Yu kingdom is now stationed in Langshan County, and the main force of the Jiang kingdom is there. The battle is not in the cold winter, it is the spring dawn next year, and the opponent is the Xiaoyang king of the Yu kingdom. The vanguard alone is 150,000 elite iron cavalry. This battle can't stop it. Anyone who pays a little attention to this aspect knows that. If you want to win, you can only ask for help. But Jiangguo's chips were running out. Asking for help can only be done by outweakness. For example, to lobby the neighboring country of Bohai. Use the upper lip and cold teeth to die. Once Yu Guana annexes Jiang country, both sides can nibble away two big countries. Bohai State and Ninghai State. If both sides send troops to help Jiangguo resist at this time, at least they can die later. Speaking of this, Wang Luan and Tai Mian Liangchen are no longer sleepy, and they all make nonsense. Either criticize or point out the problem. Jian Wushuang sat in the middle, but nodded frequently. Finally point to the proposition. Those two never thought about starting a fifth army? Jiang State and Ninghai State. Bohai State. Plus Vietnam. This is a war between four behemoths. Quartet duel, what will happen if there is a fifth branch? This question of Jian Wushuang has returned to its original origin. Or is it a matter of their recruitment? But with the foreshadowing ahead, Wang Luan and Tai Mian Liangchen both dreamed of competing in the world. Whatever their aspirations. The most important thing is to have power. This condensed their hearts even more. At this time, Jian Wushuang opened his mouth again and said the request. Without too much hesitation, Tai Mian Liangchen nodded and agreed. Lobbying Qingzhou town. Just like Jiangguo's current situation. Go to lobby Balhi. But they have natural advantages. On the one hand, Jian Wushuang pulled out the teeth of Qingzhou town, and on the other hand, the prestige of the good old man and the relationship with which old coach. This gives him a natural advantage to seize this advantage. Once they start to gain momentum, they will encounter a situation that changes. This time, Tai Mian Liangchen also went out of his way and took his daughter-in-law to Qingzhou town in person. Jian Wushuang was also prepared and directly let Scar Xuan release all the officers and soldiers he had captured. Let Tai Mian Liangchen take these people back. As for the ordnance, it will definitely not be returned. Although there are thousands of sets of equipment piled up in their warehouses, they are not bad, but they are all very useful. Because the expansion is ready. He is very optimistic about the good times, and the other party will never let him down, plus these days of cheating. Eloquence is much better. Just convince his old father-in-law and everything will be ready. In the early morning of the second day, he personally went to deliver the good day. After the arrangement was made, he looked at the other party's back, but he didn't look back for a long time. It's all up to this time. Brother Wushuang, are you not afraid of failure? Xiang Yang asked from the side. Jian Wushuang shook his head and said, I see people very accurately. Brother Liangchen is not an ordinary person. We will leave here sooner or later, or leave Jiangguo, but Liangchen can't leave. There are many things he can't put down, and he will definitely do your best. Then wait and see. The two returned to Shijiakat. Currently, and no merchant ships have passed by. Everyone knows what kind of coastal guards they have set up to quell the powerful people in Yongqing. Is discussing Zhaoan or eradication. But there will be no use of force for a while. But Jian Wushuang and the others will not be idle either. Send away the good day. Jian Wushuang discussed with Wang Lun about the expansion of the manpower. There are not many people who can win over at the small dock. Now that those officers and soldiers are released, Scarbolt will not go back. But that position is very important. It can be attacked and defended. Jian Wushuang did not give up, and gathered some boatmen and merchant ships to bring all the robbed warships to the small pier. I chose 2 of them who have been on the canal all the year round, and let them both draft sailors. In the future, it will be used to transport the trained elites to the upstream. In order to bind the 2 brothers of the Ruan family, Jian Wushuang even promised Scar Xuan's 2 younger sisters to each other. Although Scar Xuan was a little unhappy, he was glad to hear that his 2 brothers-in-law would be Empress Jiang in the future. Then there is the porter of Shizhe. Although there were no merchant ships in the past 2 days, Jian Wushuang still served delicious food. But these porters who have suffered for half their lives are a little embarrassed, and they are worried that Jian Wushuang will dismiss them. Since Jian Wushuang won Shinmatsi, the porter in Shijiaku has doubled his daily earnings. But now, seeing that the good days may not be there at any time, everyone is more anxious than Jian Wushuang. 4229/10637336. Chapter 6258. Chapter 6258 expanded to the extreme noon. The kitchen slaughtered a pig and 2 sheep. This made those porters who didn't work even more surprised, and they all felt that this was a loose meal. Although it was delicious, it was uncomfortable in the bottom of my heart, each with a look of reluctance in his eyes. At this time, Jian Wushuang and Wang Lun were both standing on the 2nd floor watching the scene. It's almost there, let's announce it after dinner. Wang Lun nodded and replied, it's still your way. After cooking them for 2 days, you'll know that the rice is delicious. It's about the same as dealing with a tough time. If you let these porters become the rebel army at the beginning, I am afraid that few people will do it. After all, effort is better than life. And these days they are eating and drinking well, and their money is doubled. They are all thinking about the future. But now that they have suddenly lost their livelihood and the oil and water they ate a few days ago, it is difficult for them to go back to eating coarse grains. At this time, let them join the army again, and the military salary will be doubled, and these will have to be committed. Moreover, Jian Wushuang has already prepared 1,000 taels of cash. He is more than that. If you want to expand, then expand to the extreme. Ordnance can't be robbed, but you have to know how to make it yourself, such as bows and arrows, horses and forged swords. These can be done in Shajia town. Some blacksmith shops in the town have been taken down by him. All of this started after the good old days left. Blacksmiths are iron rice bowls, so there is no need to take risks with them, lest they be held accountable. Jian Wushuang didn't have time to talk nonsense with these people, so he could only force it. Directly let people help their wives, children and children. Either do it together or sink the ship together. Of course, all of this was done in secret, and we couldn't let outsiders know, let alone the good old man. Although these people are innocent, as long as they work hard, Jian Wushuang will pay. They robbed the silver warehouse and Chinmatsi's family. Got more than 10,000 taels of silver and several hundred taels of gold. Plus the supplies, gold and silver looted from the merchant ship. Now Jian Wushuang can be said to be accustomed to a lot of money. The only thing that is bad is food and grass. This thing is strictly controlled, and it is all being shipped to it. Don't go through here either. After all, the rich and powerful are transporting gold and silver treasures or weapons, and each ship can buy hundreds of thousands of dan of grain. There's no need to steal food, and you can't make money if you don't. But the first thing Jian Wushuang needs to expand his armament is food and grass. But it can't be implemented now, and he will have to wait until he has all the staff. After the porter downstairs was full, he found a cool place to squat again, waiting for the order with blank eyes. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. One of the guys below immediately shouted. Hundreds of porters were called downstairs. When they heard the call, their hearts sank. The ones that should come are still coming, and they are all worried about being fired. But Jian Wushuang took the next sentence, but it made their eyes light up. There are 1,000 taels of silver here, all stolen from those corrupt officials. This money belongs to you. I will give it all today. After he finished speaking, he was directly lifted up. There are more than 300 people here, and everyone can get 3 taels of silver. That's $30. This money is enough for their family of 7 or 8 to live for several years. Provided that you don't eat meat. But this is free money. Now even if they are fired, they can get by with the money. Soon 1,000 taels of silver were moved out again. This time their eyes became even hotter. Is it possible you still have to send it? I'm obedient. It's the first time I've gotten so much money. It turns out that Shinmatsu was greedy for so much. Damn it. Many people couldn't help but scold Shinmatsu for his greed. How could they have seen so much money? In fact, Jian Wushuang got all the money from the silver warehouse. Shinmatsu's family was all banknotes, and there was not much money. But the banknotes can't be exchanged so much in the bank warehouse. In order to prevent these banknotes from becoming waste paper, Jian Wushuang asked Xiang Yang to go to Shunshui town next door to exchange them. Be sure to redeem. It takes cash to feed people. As the discussion below grew louder, Jian Wushuang waved his hand. Someone stopped the sound. At this time, Jian Wushuang said again, "Brothers, there is still 1,000 taels of silver here. I know that some people have also been bullied by corrupt officials and blackmailed by bullies. Now you have to help me divide the 1,000 taels of silver. 1 or 2 silver per person, but there is a premise." Having said that, he paused. His purpose is to recruit soldiers, not old and young women and children. So a rule was set. Must let the eldest son or eater of each family, no more than 35 years old, no less than 18 years old, to come to receive. Those porters didn't think much about these rules at all, and immediately turned their heads and went back to call someone. Jian Wushuang gave a time limit. Assemble at noon tomorrow, the money will be gone if it is late. As soon as the voice fell, everyone flew home as if they were flying. Either pull relatives or pull friends. If there are not enough people in Shajia town, go to other towns. Because they also have benefits. Pull a person, there are 5 hanging money. This rule makes them even crazier. The first step of sending money has been done. We can find a place to drink tea and see the group of people you got. Jian Wushuang walked downstairs with his hands behind his back. Wang Luan reacted from the shock and hurriedly followed down the stairs. They're all robbers from Jiangyang. I met them on the road before, and I arranged them in restaurants. It's just that these people are like bandits. It's not easy to discipline them. Wang Lun was a little worried. Jian Wushuang didn't care, but said, "The most feared thing in troubled times is the arrogant soldier." Inside the restaurant, there was a lot of noise at this time. Several of Wang Lun's confidants are entertaining these robbers from Jiangyang who are eating on the snack street near Yongqing. When asking, he said his intentions, so that Jian Wushuang would not waste his words. These Jiangyang robbers are the most well-informed. Knowing that the small wharf is on the rise, they all want to come and eat meat. You can eat, but it can't be limited to just eating meat. Jian Wushuang likes to draw big cakes for B. If these people are just trying to grab the money, he will not use it. You can steal gold and silver, and you can steal people and things. But to become bigger and stronger is to steal the country and steal the world. Jian Wushuang wants people with big ambitions. Of course, it will also give some sweetness in advance. However, these people would make Tai Mian Liangchen uncomfortable, so he chose this time to treat the guests. Treat guests, send money, and solicit. All in one go. On the wine table, Jian Wushuang took a slight test first. There are several of them, which Wang Luan personally introduced is really good. All are good hands. But it also depends on the person's temperament. If it is the kind of pure trouble, give the money away directly, so as not to clean up the door by yourself. Fortunately, the people at the table with him are some bosses, or some good players with trump cards, and they are not the kind of short-sighted people. 4229/106390005 Chapter 6259. Chapter 6259. Sprinkle money. If it is some short-sighted person, he is not worthy of a table. After Wang Lun's introduction and his own testing, Jian Wushuang quickly took his attention. Everyone is the master of the mountain. My little temple can't accommodate you. Jian Wushuang pursed the corner of his mouth, revealing a wry smile. This sentence made several mountain masters on the table stunned, saying that it was good to cooperate, or if it was ugly, they came to defect. Why are you still rejecting it? And it's so neat that they don't give them a chance to make concessions. When he came, Wang Lun said that Jian Wushuang was a great talent, and he had to put his arms around the wine table. Each of them is very restrained, and there is no bandit like before. It's not the same person at all in the downstairs lobby. It's no wonder that Jian Wushuang doesn't like this. Wang Lun saw that everyone's faces were dark, and he felt that Jian Wushuang was a little embarrassed, so he hurriedly winked. Almost got it, they are the bosses of each mountain, it is too shameless, and it is easy to have a backlash. What's more, they don't have a lot of chips in their hands now. It's just that Jian Wushuang is exaggerating too much. The territory is only a team of 5,000 people. The result was 30,000. As a result, there are no 300 people now. It was also a group of cavalry wandering outside, and 100 heavy infantry who frightened these big brothers on the mountain. Otherwise, no one will come to talk to you. Seeing everyone looking at him, Jian Wushuang gave a smirk, then turned around and said, "I'm afraid you guys have misunderstood what I said. My meaning is very simple. This temple in Shajia town can't accommodate me, but the rest of the town can. Ladies and gentlemen, and I will give money and people to help you form your own team. The goal is not large. There are 1,000 people on each hill. If you need money, give money, and if you need people, the ordnance instructor will send it together." This sentence of his made everyone stunned, especially Wang Lun. Looking at Jian Wushuang with an incomprehensible look, he may also be looking at a fool. Send money to people. To these bandits, isn't that smashing their own signs? And once the other party grows up, what should I do if they don't listen to them? For a while, Wang Lun's face was dark with anger. Jian Wushuang has never discussed this matter with him, but he still endured it, and it is not good to attack directly. The point is, it's useless for him to have an attack now. Now a bunch of big brothers on the table are looking at Jian Wushuang greedily. And these people in Shajia town don't look at some of his confidants, but once they develop and grow, they will still be Jian Wushuang. His voice will be lower and lower. Jian Wushuang saw Wang Lun's worry, stood up and patted him on the shoulder, looked at everyone and said, "I know you will be very puzzled why I do this. It's actually very simple. I've developed a lot recently. Quick, there is no shortage of people, and I think it may not be a good thing for everyone to work with me. It is better to develop independently. I will give what is missing. The only requirement is that in the future, when we meet people at the gate of the yamen, we must unite. I was the first to kill him." The naked benefits and the naked threats shocked everyone. Immediately they got up, drank the wine in their bowls, and swore each other. This is also an alliance. The big brothers Wang Lun called have more than 100 people under them, but they are helpless and have a small territory. They have no money and no one, so they cannot grow up. Now that Jian Wushuang wants to help them plan their territory, they all up their ears and listen to the detailed plan. Jian Wushuang took out the map and marked the 16 towns in Yongqing. I divided the 5 mountain masters in detail. Everyone takes 2 towns. That is to say, 10 towns have been divided, and there are still 6 towns. Jian Wushuang now has 3 planned. Shajia town has been taken down, Qingzhou town has entered the city, and Shunshui town, known as the Binhai Granary, is bound to win. The last 3 towns are the closest towns to Yongqing. One of them is Qingshan town, which Jian Wushuang has heard of. The town's specialty is iron ore. Once taken, the ordnance will be guaranteed in the future. There are also 2 major towns, which are the barrier of Yongqing. They can't eat it at present, so they can only put it aside. Jian Wushuang did not say all the specific matters, but first asked them to bring money back to recruit troops. After arranging these mountain masters, there are still several famous Jiangyang thieves on the table. Hearing Jian Wushuang's grand ambitions just now, each and everyone's eyes glowed. Steal the country. That is their best interest. Jian Wushuang was very polite to the rest, especially the young man with one ear. The man was small, but strong, and his eyes sparkled. Jiang, who people call one ear, there is a unique way to collect information on the entire Binhai. Therefore, Jian Wushuang values this person. Naturally, high prices were also given. Money and people are unlimited. One Ear was very excited. He usually just relied on some news from the rivers and lakes to make a living. In fact, his status is not too high. As a result, now he is on an equal footing with those mountain masters, but he is also regarded as a crony by Jian Wushuang. It worked a lot for him. With gratitude and excitement, I finally got through. Brother Wang Lun, first arrange for him to be a number 20 scout. When our people come back, we can collect 100, let go of the gold and silver, let everyone match horses, and form their own scouts. Wang Lun next to him just nodded dumbly after hearing this. Just a rough calculation, it has already spent tens of thousands of taels of silver. Already stunned. When was it so rich and spent so much money in a day? The money spent by the key is no different from the money sent out for nothing. Of course he feels distressed. Brother Wang Lun? Jian Wushuang looked at the other party in a daze and shouted again. Only then did Wang Lun react, and he nodded quickly and said, "Yes, yes, you can do it as you see fit." He had completely lost sight of what Jian Wushuang was going to do. Just wave your hand and do whatever you want. The main reason is to see Jian Wushuang's ability these days. He can't match the force of force, and he can't even compare to the calculation. You can only fight beside Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was very satisfied when he saw that Wang Lun had no meaning. Otherwise, he has to plan a feng shui for the other party. The scout information was handed over to One Ear. Jian Wushuang is still thinking about finding some talented people or taking responsibility for the force. But looking at the rest of them, it is difficult for them to hold important positions. However, the ability of several of them is not too bad, and they are all accepted one by one, and let them be responsible for checking and balancing those mountain masters. It is said to be helping in the past, but it is actually monitoring, so that the two sides are fighting each other. Jian Wushuang is only responsible for dispatching people. Finished main table. Wang Lun also wanted to take him to other boxes to show his face, so he could take a look and decide. Chapter 6260? Chapter 6260. There is no one who can fight. However, Jian Wushuang felt that it was unnecessary, so he shied away directly. But just as he was about to go downstairs, he heard a quarrel in the lobby. Can't afford to lose. I saw that on the loose table in the lobby, they were fighting fiercely to wrestle their arms. And one of them blushed after losing and almost got into a fight. Wang Lun frowned upon seeing this, and immediately went downstairs to make a clearance. To the strong man who shouted that he couldn't afford to lose, he said, "This brother, please forgive me for not being well entertained today. It's my people who are petty." After he finished speaking, he turned his head and glanced at his heart. And the black-faced man was also very happy. He quickly waved his hand and said, "That's it, I'm here this time to see the strength of your little wharf. I don't care about that." Oh! As soon as Wang Lun heard what the other party said, he immediately became interested. This black-faced man with feelings was here to spy on them. But to say it like that, his temperament is a bit too straight. Soon a white-robed jincher who accompanied him stopped the black-faced man, clasped his fists politely at Wang Lun, and said, "My brother is relatively simple and honest, and I hope Wang will not have ordinary knowledge at the helm." The title of the helm comes from the master of the dock. The boss of the small dock is naturally the helm. Wang Lun's mind is okay. Naturally he won't be angry, but he didn't pay any more attention to the two of them. After a few polite words, he was ready to leave. There aren't many good players in Shaoquan, not one who can fight. At this time, the black-faced man muttered softly, but the atmosphere solidified again. "What did you blackhead say?" The group of people in the small dock suddenly stood up, all of them looking like they were eating people. The white-clothed Jinshi's face sank, and he immediately stepped forward and covered his sweaty mouth. It may be too late. At this time, no matter how broad-minded Wang Lun was, he couldn't let this black-faced man go back like this. You have to find a good player to practice with the opponent. Otherwise, you will lose the adult today. Jian Wushuang also became interested when he saw this. Especially the opponent's combination. At first glance, one of the white-robed jincher looked like a dog-headed military sergeant, while the other looked like a guard, honest and upright, but with brute force. Wang is at the helm. If my brother is drunk, don't take it seriously, let him punish him for drinking. Jin Shirbai looked very angry, but there was an incomprehensible look in his eyes. Jian Wushuang sees people very accurately. He didn't like the little fish and shrimp that came today. So most of them were sent away. Leaving some barbarians to attack the city for him is easy to control. But after seeing the look in the eyes of this man in white, he felt that the highlight of the day was in the lobby. Without waiting for Wang Luan to speak, Jian Wushuang stood on the stairs and shouted, "As the saying goes, the text is no first, and the martial arts is no second. If you don't try it, how do you know if there are any masters in our small wharf?" Second gear. The small wharf in the lobby was greeted by everyone. Jian Wushuang's prestige has increased a lot these days. These people also admire them from the bottom of their hearts. Hearing that Jian Wushuang had spoken, everyone wanted to try this black-faced man. Although it seems that this black-faced man is strong and powerful, and most people dare not get close, but Xiao Quan is also a good player, and after drinking some wine, everyone is not convinced at this time. Jin Shirbai looked at Jian Wushuang, guessed his identity, and said with a slightly nervous expression, "Although my brother has some strength, I am afraid that compared with the brothers in Shaoquan, it is still a lot worse. Why don't you forget it?" "No, how can you forget it?" The black-faced man quickly waved his hand and said, "Why do you want to make a quick decision? Let's go together." Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently and said, "Go outside and find an open place, so that I can spread my fists for you." "All right, lest you say you can't let go of your fists." After the black-faced man finished speaking, he strode out of the door. Wang Luan nodded as well, and several experts from the small dock immediately followed. As for which white-robed Jinshi, he looked at him with some scruples, but his eyes couldn't hide it. Jian Wushuang also followed, but he wanted to see what the other party was up to. In the open space outside the restaurant, everyone stood in a circle. The first person to play was a hero from a small dock. He was shirtless. Although he was not as burly as a black-faced man, his tendons were not bad. One of the two is more than 9 feet tall, and the other is 9 feet tall. All about the same. "Let's start." Jian Wushuang's voice was indifferent. As soon as the two heard it, they shot at the same time. They all stretched out their hands to hug each other's waist. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang felt the same way. There are no tricks to speak of. It's wrestling, it's all about strength. The naked man at the small dock dragged the black-faced man with both hands, but his strength was not at the same level, and he was thrown directly to the ground by a reverse fall. "You hess!" Being thrown to the ground was obviously unconvincing, and he wanted to turn over again, but was called down by Wang Lun. "If you lose, you don't need to be rude, or you really can't afford to lose. If one doesn't work, replace the next one." But the few good players from the small dock are not the enemies of the black-faced big man. This made Wang Luan a little embarrassed. One ear stood beside him and whispered to Jian Wushuang, "Second gear, I have a few brothers who are good at it, why don't I let them try?" "No, this kind of thing must be done by the people at the small dock." Jian Wushuang didn't mean that one ear was not from the small dock, but felt that if the other party just joined the party and pulled people over to support the scene, wouldn't it be smashing his own signboard? He had seen before that this black-faced man was not simple. In boxing and kung fu, even he is not an opponent. "Your Excellency is really good, Wang admires it." Although Wang Luan couldn't hide his face, he knew that it was time to end. Some people next to them who are going to defect to the small pier also have strange eyes. Although the small dock now has its own territory and power, it needs money, and it needs people and people, but the quality is not very good. "Don't fight so soon? I haven't even warmed up yet." The black-faced man raised his forehead, looked very disdainful. At this time, the white-robed Jinshi next to him just smiled and said nothing, but did not speak to discourage him. Jian Wushuang stood behind and took a deep breath. It was almost time for him to appear. This black-faced man and the white-robed Jinshi are not simple, either accept it as a dog, or eradicate it in advance, and absolutely cannot let it go. And the other party is definitely not two people, It is definitely an accomplice, but the identity is not revealed. Since I haven't warmed up yet, why don't I have 2 moves with this brother? Jian Wushuang came with his sword. Everyone was stunned, but quickly responded. The last time Jian Wushuang won the Hutsu captain, it was widely spread locally, and now there are rumors of him in all corners of the world. Shijayaku's Sword God. Chapter 6261. Chapter 6261. Takedown with a sword. Jinshi in white looked at Jian Wushuang with his sword coming, his face was startled, and he persuaded him with kind words. Second block. If you use a weapon, my black-faced brother is using an axe, I think it's better to stop it. No, you have to be so serious. The visitor is a guest, how can we be neglected? Since it is not enjoyable, I will accompany this brother to have a good time. After Jian Wushuang finished speaking, he directly drew his sword and went up. The black-faced man also took out a pair of terrifying mountain axes from behind. Coupled with Kong Wu's powerful arms, wielding a huge mountain axe, he seems to be able to handle it with ease. But it's a lot less technical. Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship uses the Wushuang swordsmanship that mortals were proficient at back then. This kind of swordsmanship is pure and natural, and there is no flaw at all. The double axe couldn't touch him at all. The sword light circulated, and the shocked crowd retreated again and again. Even the white-robed Jinshi frowned. Because he is also a swordsman, but compared to Jian Wushuang, his methods are like that of a child. Facing Jian Wushuang's attack, the black-faced man was defeated, and the double axe smashed into the air every time, unable to touch Jian Wushuang at all. However, the tip of Han Meng's sword has been staring at his neck. With no way to retreat, he could only raise his axe to protect his face. We admit defeat. The Jinshi in white hurriedly shouted loudly. Jian Wushuang, on the other hand, used the tip of his sword to touch the neck of the black-faced man, and if it was later, the other party would fall. The black-faced man took a deep breath and put down the axe in his hand, only to see that the tip of the sword was less than a finger away from his neck, and he was sweating profusely. He is not the kind of master who is afraid of death, but the cold air when the sword tip touched his neck forced him to sweat and made him not dare to move. There is another reason, because this competition is not a life-and-death battle. Just click and stop. Jian Wushuang unhurriedly retracted the sword into the sheath, cupped his hands and said, "Brother is very strong, but the usage of this mountain-opening axe is a bit poor. If there is a suitable axe method, I will definitely not be an opponent." Second gear is too modest. Not only is his strategy detached, but he also has such force. He is truly a hero with both civil and military skills. Jinshi in white hurriedly stepped forward, this time without the previous temptation. The same is true of the black-faced man. He doesn't care about Jian Wushuang's strategy, he only talks about his strength. He was convinced that Jian Wushuang could defeat him. At this time, he also looked at Jian Wushuang with admiration. It's an exaggeration, but it's just a wave in this chaotic world. But the two of them are extraordinary people, why don't you go to the canal and talk about it? Jian Wushuang hummed again, giving the opponent enough face, and then threw out the olive branch. At this time, the white-robed Jinshi was also sincerely convinced and said, "I can't ask for it." The problem was solved, and the face of the small dock was saved. Moreover, Jian Wushuang added a bit of admiration in the eyes of these people. Whether it is strategy or force, he is very good at it. In this chaotic world, following such a character will not be too bad no matter what. But this made Wang Luan a little embarrassed. He couldn't beat Jian Wushuang, and now his popularity is not as good as Jian Wushuang. Although there are a lot of cronies, there are just over 100 people. If Jian Wushuang waved his arms, he might have to leave halfway. And the people recruited later will inevitably go to Jian Wushuang. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang didn't care about that. The wooden building in Shijiak. Jian Wushuang personally entertained the white-robed Jinshi and the black-faced big man. They also knew the names of the two during the banquet. Although I didn't have much time to come to Binhai County, these days I also got to know some celebrities in the county. The two in front of them are not considered elegant, but they are full of notoriety. Which black-faced man, Black Bull, he is a well-known gangster in the county. With his brute force, He once singled out a catcher at the Yamen gate without falling behind. This Jian Wushuang is experienced. The nickname is also extraordinarily loud, and the people in the rivers and lakes call it Mad Cow. As for the men in white clothes, one cannot draw conclusions based on the appearance of the other party. This person is even more feared by the government than the Black Cow. Because behind him, there is a group of 800 bandits. He is the chief white paper fan of Qingshui Mountain, nicknamed Wu Xing. Courageous and resourceful, he is also a leading figure in Binhai County. Knowing the identity of the other party, Jian Wushuang also began to think about the other party's purpose. With these 2 rounds, he is much worse in terms of qualifications and strength. There are 800 heroes on Qingshui Mountain, not the porters he recruited, but the real bandits who kill without blinking an eye. Now that these 2 people came to Shajia town, what did they intend? Jian Wushuang saw the wine after 3 tours and began to test it. Brother Wu, this time, it shouldn't be a special test, right? Wu Xing heard the words, slowly put down the wine glass, his face became serious, and then said in a low voice, "To be honest, this time I came with the mission of my mountain master." "Oh." Jian Wushuang pretended to be puzzled. "What task? If you can help by sitting down, just say it." In fact, you don't need to ask to know what the opponent's attention is. It is just that they are developing a little faster, and some are afraid to try it out. If the strength is not very good, it can be annexed. If the strength is comparable or even stronger than Qingshuishan, then cooperation must be considered. Now it's time for Wu Xing to come. I can't see how strong they are, because the people and horses have not yet developed. It's just a preliminary plan. Even if Jian Wushuang is brave and resourceful, it is not worth much effort under Qingshui Mountain. As soon as Wu Xing opened his mouth, he also verified his guess. This time, Qingshui Mountain gave Wu Xing various tasks. That is to say, if you see people talking about people, you will talk about ghosts. From the other party's words, Jian Wushuang knew his own weight and should be a ghost. Cooperation. Right. Wu Xing nodded slowly, and then said, "Our Qingshui Mountain is in the southwest. Although it does not rely on the canal, it is the gate of land in Yongqing. If Brother Wushuang can handle the gate of water, then the next time we drink, it will be in Yongqing. It's gone." "Haha." Jian Wushuang laughed and did not answer. "There is only one Yongqing. How can I share it with anyone?" But the other party's words are also a little threatening. Lulu's life gate is indeed in Qingshuishan's hands. If they want to take Yongqing, first of all, it is too dangerous to go up the waterway, and it is no use for their small boats. The best way is to go overland. But now the land route is in the opponent's hands. Cooperation is imminent, but friction may arise later. It is a question of who has the final say in entering Yongqing. Jian Wushuang's hesitation was right, because Wu Xing was also a little hesitant. The meaning of Qingshuishan is obvious. Cooperation to win Yongqing. As for who calls the shots, it depends on the strength. It's a big deal. I have to discuss this matter with Big Brother Wang Lun, and I've developed relatively fast recently, and I haven't really digested it yet, so don't worry. Chapter 62-62. Chapter 62-62. I heard that there are immortals in the North Sea. Jian Wushuang did not agree directly, and used Wang Lun to vaguely pass. The king is at the helm. Wu Xing murmured, and his tone was a little weird when he called Wang Lun's name. If ordinary people listen, they will definitely be able to hear some flavors. In fact, it's almost straight up. What is he, Wang Lun? Wouldn't it be more enjoyable to kill him and make himself a king? Why work under a little thief? But Wu Xing is a smart person. He didn't speak out, but made side-by-side comments. It's good to talk about the ranking order of Qingshui Mountain. Brother Wushuang is an all-round talent in both civil and military affairs. Even in my Qingshui Mountain, he is also the owner of the mountain, and my brother has always been a man who is capable of hard work. Speaking of Qingshui Mountain, there is really a lack of such people as Wushuang brother. And the position of the deputy mountain master is still vacant. Jian Wushuang pretended to be interested and said, "Well, this is different from what I heard. Who doesn't know that Qingshuishan has the most heroes? How can they be short of free talents?" This kind of temptation and bewitching is of little use to him. If ordinary people are definitely tempted at this time, even if they don't vote for Qingshui Mountain, they will get rid of Wang Lun. But Jian Wushuang would not do that. He doesn't care about who is the boss, what he cares about is the chips in his hand. This meal is full of flavor. In addition to winning, they also talked about the worldview. Although there are some conspiracy theories in the front, but the back is chatting with sympathy. From the situation in Jiang country, we talked about the pattern of this world. Before drinking, they were just a group of thieves in Binhai County of Jianghua. But after drinking, the entire South Seven Kingdoms did not take it seriously. The topic of the two was also pulled to the other side of the sea. The prosperous Tang dynasty. That is the peak of the country. After finally meeting a learned and talented person, Jian Wushuang also asked many questions about how big the world is. He now knows that the Tang dynasty is very big, but don't know more information. Wu Xing knows not only geography, but also astronomy. After hearing his words, he pondered for a while, then paused for a while and said, "Don't be afraid of jokes, what I say may be subjective, I don't know much about this world, but I guess that apart from these scattered continents, there is definitely a supercontinent in the depths of the ocean, and there is definitely a rumored Shangxian on this continent." Fairy. Jian Wu's eyes are enlarged. Although it was the other party's guess, he just wanted to hear these things. That's right, I studied under Yannan Mountain. My teacher had the honor to travel to the Immortal Island in the South China Sea. It is said that the Immortal Island is actually some Taoist crown on the island, but there is a qi refiner on one of the islands. He can dance with qi. The sword is extremely mysterious, and it is rumored that he only learned the magic from that supercontinent. Wu Xing talked eloquently. Jian Wushuang asked a few more questions. It's a pity that this incident was all his master's experience in the early years, and now it has turned into ashes. At least there is a period of time. Can't find it now. But this gave Jian Wushuang confidence. It shows that this world is really a fairy. Although I don't know how strong it is as long as it can be cultivated. From these pieces of news, Jian Wushuang also found doubts. That is, these rumors are all related to qi training. Whether it's a qi trainer from the Tang dynasty, a qi trainer from Xiandao, or a qigong from Xiao Yangwang. It seems to be related to gas. This is different from the cultivation system in the outside world. But there are traces. He has been to many worlds, and he can even create worlds and recreate new cultivation systems. Night falls. Send Wu Xing and the two to live in the restaurant, and they will go to see each other early tomorrow morning. He simply lived in the restaurant himself. Inside the room, without a trace of sleepiness, he came to the window and looked at the bright moon with 1,000 thoughts in his heart. Not thinking about the things of the day, but thinking about this world. When they first came in, the demons gathered around, desperately trying to get out. He remembered that at that time there was a sea beneath the black fog. I thought that the sea was where they came from. But now he doesn't think so. This world can't contain those demons. Back then, the monsters in the black fog were all powerful, and they all reached the level of the universe god, and there were even monsters at the level of the six-star universe god. So powerful, a movement can make his current world shatter. This world, I am afraid it is a multidimensional world, with the upper and lower realms, and the 8 achievements here are the lower realms. Jian Wushuang sighed in his heart. If so, it will be more difficult for him to get out. He was brought here, and his consciousness was cut off. I don't know how long it will take to be discovered. Although Hui Qing and the others often contacted him, the time interval was too far for him to be immortal. Remember, the last contact was 100,000 era. If he waited for another 100,000 epochs, he didn't know how many times he would reincarnate. Even if you contact him in advance and find that his consciousness is isolated and come to rescue, where do you start? Looking for the Realm King, or the Great Realm King? I am afraid it will be useless. The strength of his external deity was stronger than that of the realm at his peak. It can be said to be the first person under time and space. Even he can be isolated. There is nothing simple in this world. And the girl named Xing Luo also had the breath of Wanlu. The name has another star, which reminds him of the star spirit. The original Wanlu Shenmu has been taken away. The breath appeared in this world. Jian Wushuang couldn't figure it out, so he leaned on the reclining chair and fell asleep. In a dream, he saw the figure again. Turn your back to him. This time he was calm and just watched. Suddenly, a name came to mind. Prophet. As soon as he remembered the name, he was awakened from his sleep. Jian Wushuang was a little helpless, shook his head, and wanted to use his consciousness to connect the scene again, but it couldn't appear in his mind, and he even called the prophet several times to himself. The world around them remains the same. Finally gave up. Outside the door, Xiang Yang knocked on the door a few times, but when he saw that he didn't say a word, he pushed the door directly and entered. I made it, this time we made it big. Xiang Yang strode into the room with a cloth pocket in his hand. But only when he poured out everything in the cloth pocket did he find that it was full of gold and silver jewelry. But Jian Wushuang didn't care at all. He was still entangled in the dream just now. Xiang Yang lowered his voice and said, "This is only a small part. I went to exchange the banknotes this time and grabbed a full 10 cars on the road. Is worth 100,000 taels. Oh." Jian Wushuang still didn't care, just responded slightly. This made Xiang Yang a little puzzled and said in surprise, "What's wrong with you? With so much money, don't you wonder who I stole it from?" "Who?" Jian Wushuang asked cooperatively. "Qingshui Mountain." Hearing this, he suddenly widened his eyes and said in surprise, "What did you say? This is something from Qingshui Mountain?" No, King Shuishan didn't take it, and I cut him off." Xiang Yang said proudly, "You don't know how I took more than a dozen people and grabbed food from the tiger's mouth." Chapter 62-63. Chapter 62-63 Tangyu, Trouble. Jian Wushuang frowned and said, "I forgot to tell you, now there is a white paper fan from Qingshui Mountain in this restaurant." Wu Xing. Xiang Yang was also a little surprised. He also didn't expect people from Qingshui Mountain to appear here. But the robbery has been robbed, and it can only be said that the other party is not capable of them. 100,000 taels of silver. This is fat. The entire Qingshui Mountain probably does not have so much silver. What should we do now? Xiang Yang was surprised. Jian Wushuang pondered for a while and said, "This Qingshui Mountain will fight us sooner or later. Since we have robbed it, let's rob it, but people will let them go first. If we detain them again, we will lose face. It's gone. At present, they are still bandits, not the rebel army. It didn't do anything good after all. Bandits are not fighting and killing, but human beings. Otherwise, someone will come to you. Only yesterday he attracted a group of large and small hills. Now turn around and do things that go against your reputation, and the money will be wasted. As for the tiger's mouth, it's not really. King Shuishan himself is incompetent, so he can't blame them. And if this matter is said, it will damage the reputation of King Shuishan. At present, King Shuishan is still the #1 bandit gang in Binhai County. If outsiders know that Qingshui Mountain has been suffocated by the people of the small dock, it will increase the reputation of the small dock. Therefore, Jian Wushuang decided to keep quiet. According to what he learned yesterday, Wu Xing is also considered the #1 figure in the troubled times. Absolutely dare not take risks, let alone take the initiative to fight against the small wharf. After a brief discussion between the two, Jian Wushuang asked Xiang Yang to go to Shijiaku first, and he had to send money today. And he still needs to send Wu Xing and He Niu. Outside the inn, the two fast horses were ready. Jian Wushuang and Wu Xing exchanged a few words, looked at each other's back disappearing from sight, and then turned back to the inn. Currently multi-line development. He handed over the gathering of manpower to Xiang Yang. Wang Luan and others are responsible for the specific planning. He is waiting for a good day. This is the key. Once they get the support of the opponent's father-in-law, they will get rid of the identity of bandits and become a rebel army, and the subsequent attack on Yongqing will also become a matter of course. Jianggu did not dare to resist the attack of Yugua, so they took up this banner. Jian Wushuang stood in front of the windowsill on the second floor of the inn, staring at the path in the distance. When the sun was up to 3 poles, a group of people finally appeared on the path. The sound of hoofs was scattered, and there were not many people. Jian Wushuang hurriedly went downstairs when the team also arrived. Which Tiger Head Captain, Tang Eru, is headed, the rest are all soft armored cavalry. You are Jian Wushuang. Tang Eru glanced at him, his eyes raised very high, with an air of arrogance. I don't know what the other party is proud of, but Jian Wushuang fell off his horse and captured him alive, and he even posed. That is to say, Jian Wushuang has a generous heart, doesn't care about this, and replied indifferently, "It's right here." If it wasn't for the instructor's order, I'd have to reckon with you about the last attack on me today. Tang Eru snorted angrily. Hearing the instructor, Jian Wushuang frowned. Things were not as simple as he thought. The teacher in Qingzhou town was someone who had seen the world, so it was impossible for him to join a group of bandits just because his son-in-law said a few words. But Jian Wushuang didn't expect that Tai Mian Liangchen would be detained. And now Tang Eru wants to take him to Qingzhou town. As for why, he didn't say a word. Jian Wushuang could endure what happened in front of him, but he couldn't bear this one. He didn't give the right words, he said to let him go, and it was still that kind of commanding tone. A whistle came from his mouth, and the horse's hooves swayed in shock. After a while, a group of cavalry rushed over. It is the 50 light cavalry that Shao Quan has just formed. Leading the team is Scarbolt. As soon as he saw Tang Eru, he couldn't help sneering, "Yo, who am I? It turns out that you are a defeated general." After speaking, without seeing how embarrassed the other party's face was, he turned over and dismounted and walked towards Jian Wushuang. Tai Mian Liangchen was detained, the news that the person with one ear just got in Qingzhou town. After Scar Xuan finished speaking, he took out a bamboo tube and handed it to Jian Wushuang. This sentence made Tang Eru stunned. He had just left Qingzhou town. No one knows more about the matter over there than him. Unexpectedly, Jian Wushuang received the news on his back foot, and for a while, he was amazed at the speed of Jian Wushuang's intelligence. In fact, Jian Wushuang himself did not expect this ear to be so fast. People who were divided yesterday began to receive news today. And without his orders, he can send the news he wants to know. I opened the bamboo tube and there was a note inside. Come on, let's talk. The simple 4 words are the handwriting of a good day. Jian Wushuang squeezed the note into a ball. He originally wanted to go to Qingzhou town to meet the coach. It's just that Tang Eru just gave him this dismay and made him very uncomfortable. And he wants to keep these people as chips. If he is detained anywhere, he will die before he is successful. Detain them, and prepare a fast horse for me. Jian Wushuang waved his hand, signaling his move. Tang Eru stared at the situation and said, "Jian Wushuang, you dare to touch me. Why don't you dare?" Jian Wushuang quickly drew his sword, pulled out a sword body, knocked the opponent off the horse, stepped on the opponent's shoulders and got on Tang Eru's green fast horse, and said indifferently, "You don't need to prepare a fast horse. This one is very suitable. Good Lu. This time, I won the tiger-headed captain, the same as last time." The rest of the people naturally did not dare to make another move. And this time, Tang Eru came to invite Jian Wushuang to Qingzhou town, but he was a defeated general, so he was embarrassed to speak. I thought about finding the last place, but I didn't expect it to be won by Jian Wushuang again. You don't have to send it to the small wharf this time, just treat it well in the inn. After saying that, Jian Wushuang tightened the reins and was about to leave, but Scar Xuan said a little worriedly, "Would you like to lead the team? There are people from the yamen in Qingzhou town." No need. He didn't even turn around and rode his horse straight to Qingzhou town. Fortunately, the official road was spacious, and there was no delay along the way, and he arrived at Qingzhou town in less than an hour. Just looking from the outside, Qingzhou town is much bigger than Shajia town. It used to be the former site of the first elite Qinglei camp of Jiang state. Later, as there were more military members, it gradually became a military town. If it weren't for the intruders from Vietnam, it would be impossible for only 200 people to be stationed here. Entering Qingzhou town, after inquiring about the residence of the legendary old teacher, he dismounted and walked towards a small alley. At his peak, the legendary coach Yang Zixing was also the head coach of 100,000 Qinglei Jun. But they live in such a small alley. After walking a few steps, I saw a quaint gate with a plaque above it with a Phnom Penh, Yang's house, 4229/10766953. Chapter 6264. Chapter 6264 Life. Undefeated Jian Wushuang threw the horse on the ground stake, walked to the door and knocked lightly a few times. After a while, someone opened the door. It was a girl with freckles on her face. When she saw him, she lowered her head shyly, then turned her head and shouted to the courtyard, "Abba, there are guests." Jian Wushuang was very indifferent to this, seeing his shy girl, from the northern time and space can be ranked in the world continent. After the girl finished shouting, she said in a subtle tone, "Come in first, my dad is drinking with my brother-in-law." As he said that, Jian Wushuang came in. After entering the small courtyard, Jian Wushuang discovered that there was something special. Even though it is an alley outside, the yard inside is very spacious, and there are many standard weapons hanging on the walls of the yard, many of which are complete with swords, guns and sticks. This is also in line with that Instructor Yang. Just as he was looking at the small courtyard, there was also a fierce old man standing in the door of the main room. He had an aquiline nose and a pair of transparent eyes, which made him look full of energy. Feeling the attention of those eyes, Jian Wushuang also turned to look at the door of the main room. "Under the sword, I have seen Instructor Yang." His voice was neither humble nor arrogant, he just cupped his hands, and did not bend over. It is very good that mortals can receive such a great courtesy from him. The main thing is to admire each other's experience. Although they are ordinary people, they have different wonderful things. Instructor Yang stepped out of the main room and looked carefully at Jian Wushuang with a pair of eyes. Especially when he saw the sword he was carrying, there was a strange look in his eyes. "How is your swordsmanship? In my life, I have never been defeated." Jian Wushuang's arrogant words made the iron-faced Liangchen in the main room startled. This is a bit different from the Jian Wushuang he knew. The previous Jian Wushuang was very low-key and modest. How could he smell so strong when he first met his father-in-law? And he spoke madly, not like the ambitious Jian Wushuang at all. He didn't know that Jian Wushuang was just telling the truth. It's a coincidence, the old man has never encountered an opponent in his life, but I use a gun. Instructor Yang suddenly kicked his hind legs, and the whole person rushed towards him, and he did not know when a long spear appeared in his hand. The head of the gun spun, and roused Jian Wushuang's eyes were stunned. And the speed is very fast, because Jian Wushuang is not at all careless. He escapes sideways with his hind legs, and then suddenly pulls out the sword around his waist. Although he has no power, however, he was quite familiar with ordinary moves. The opponent's marksmanship was sharp, not the kind of stabbing, picking, and slashing that were trained in the military, but a wild mark. This set of marksmanship is not suitable for military camps, but it is suitable for rivers and lakes. Jian Wushuang drew his sword and kept cracking the opponent's ferocious attacks. Although the opponent's marksmanship was somewhat sophisticated, for him, he was the master of weapons in this world. Finding an opportunity, he kicked the spearhead with one kick, and with the long sword in his hand, chopped off the long spear with a move that Coach Yang had never seen before. All this happened very quickly. The competition between the two of them, from the beginning to the end, only took a few breaths. There is nothing to be proud of in such a short time to win an old man who is over 60 years old. However, with the attitude of Coach Yang, who was not convinced by his youth, he was obsessed with Jian Wushuang's move just now. He felt that even when he was young, he could not win against Jian Wushuang. Because the swordsmanship just now cannot be cracked by a mortal like him. "Brother Wushuang, please give me another face. This time my father-in-law is not here to embarrass you." Tai Mian Liangchen came out at this time to make a round. It also made the stunned little freckled girl react. Her father was still being held by Jian Wushuang with a sword, but she was standing there staring blankly at Jian Wushuang. There are bound to be some things that can't be said. "Excuse me." Jian Wushuang retracted his sword into the sheath, his tone indifferent. Instructor Yang didn't care at all, and he pointed to the back room and said solemnly, "It really is a boy who is a hero. Liang Chen's evaluation of you is not overestimated, but underestimated. Indeed, someone like Tai Mian Liang Chen would not understand Jian Wushuang. On the contrary, his father-in-law sees people very accurately. Jian Wushuang was not humble, took the sword and walked proudly to the back room. Now that you have used means to quell the other party, there is no need to look like you are thirsty for talents. That is for the literati, not for this old world. This legendary coach was by no means a good man when he was young, but he just happened to work for the court. If it is the old one's iron face, then Jian Wushuang will have to spend a lot of time. Enter the house. Tai Mian Liang Qin just made an introduction, followed by the negotiation between Jian Wushuang and Instructor Yang. Talked till evening. Simple and fast. It seems that we talked for an afternoon, but this kind of thing with others rebelling can be done in half a day, which is already very fast. It is nothing more than the division of interests and the probability of success in the future. Against such mortals, Jian Wushuang can be said to be a dimensionality reduction blow. Straight to the point. He knew that Coach Yang also had a son in Yongqing, but his son was a literati and did not inherit his father's mantle. This is even simpler. Jian Wushuang directly promised the other party that if his son had that ability, he would definitely be the master of one person and above 10,000 people. And Qingzhou town remained unchanged. It just needed him to train his troops and horses. He doesn't need his family to do anything on the battlefield. Tai Mian Liang Chen can't do this either. As for the two daughters, one is already a married woman and has nothing to do, so she can only give her benefits to a good time. The other one is even simpler. In order to make the old man completely bound to his worship, he gave a very perfect arrangement. This made Teacher Yang very happy. After dark, Jian Wushuang left with Tai Mian Liang Chen. The two sides agreed to bring people to Qingzhou town in 3 days, as well as various ordnance materials. One of the most important things is to propose a marriage. Leave from Qingzhou town. The two returned to Shijiaku non-stop. At this time, endless tents have been set up here, built along the river, stretching for 10 miles. Jian Wushuang was stunned when he saw this scene. On the contrary, Tai Mian Liang Chen is very indifferent. In the turbulent times, there are too many people who read www. For one bite. What's more, Jian Wushuang offered a high price to expand the manpower. Didn't expect to attract so many people. These tents are all weapons and supplies they robbed, but they didn't expect to use them at this time. Outside the camp, more than 100 people were patrolling the camp in an orderly manner at this time. As soon as he walked into Shijiaku, One Ear ran to report the situation. Before heading to Qingzhou town, he had someone arrange for One Ear to pick him up in Yongqing. As for the person who was picked up, it was naturally the brother-in-law of Tai Liang Chen, the son of the instructor Yang. As soon as he saw his brother-in-law, Tai Mian Liang Chen was surprised by Jian Wushuang's preparation. That's enough. It's not like wooing a coach, it's more like wooing a general. 4229/107666954. Chapter 6265. Chapter 6265. Shunshui town. Jian Wushuang didn't say much, just patted him on the shoulder and asked him to go to his brother-in-law to have a good chat. I went to the headquarters of the pier myself. At this time, Wang Lun was chatting with a few strangers, and when he saw him coming back, he stepped forward and said with concern, "Wushuang, are you all right? I heard Scar Xuan that you went to Qingzhou town alone, but it worried me." "Broken." "It's okay, it's done over there, and now we have to send our people over there." After he finished speaking, he looked at those unfamiliar faces, and then looked at Wang Lun. "By the way, let me introduce to you, these are brothers from Langshan County, and they also brought hundreds of good players." Wang Lun introduced them one by one. It turned out that these people were fleeing, and it was said that there were hundreds of people. In fact, there were thousands of family members who also brought them. Escape from here. It can be solved by giving food, but if you don't give it, it may backlash at any time. This is not as good as those with a home, but it also has the advantage that the other party will be very hardworking. So now the most important thing is not to send money to the other party, but to settle down. The entire coastal county appeared in his mind. All point to one place. Shunshui town. Jian Wushuang stood up, pointed at the town by the canal on the map, and said, "Brother Wanglun, the immediate priority is to take down Shunshui town, which will be used as our granary in the future, so we can arrange all these brothers there. This is not in a hurry, our food and grass." Wang Luan hesitated. It's not that he doesn't believe Jian Wushuang's judgment. If Shunshui town is not something they can think about at this time, if it is short of food and grass, they can go to Shunshui town to buy it. But to win Shunshui town, it is a bit too big. Although Shunshui town has no officers and soldiers of the imperial court, there is a bully in Shunshui town. Mr. Huang. In the whole Yongqing, even in Binhai County, no one does not know this lord. He has 800 disciples under his command, a ruthless man who can fight against mountains and rivers. You want money, you want people, you want people. When they hit Shunshui town, they couldn't get around this Mr. Huang. Wang Lun waved his hand and first signaled those people to go down. Only Jian Wushuang and himself were left in the house, and then he said, "It's not good for us to start now, it's better to let these brothers settle down in Shajia town and wait for us. It's not too late to take down Shunshui town." In fact, this is not wrong, most people will think so. But Jian Wushuang looked further. He can use money and food to win people over now, but Master Huang can't? The lips are dead and the teeth are cold. If your neighbors are self-respecting, you can only be forced to recruit soldiers and horses. The current court is almost a decoration. He won Shajia town for so many days, and there was not much movement in Yongqing. Once this opening is opened, countless people will follow suit. Why did Wu Xing of Qingshui Mountain come? Isn't it just to test the ambition of the small dock? Once ambition begins to materialize, it cannot be hidden. He doesn't even need to say, others can guess what he does. So he can't wait. Instead, we must quickly take down Shunshui town, and even Qingshui Mountain. Only by taking these two bones down can he be able to integrate Binhai County. Build your own power, and use the bargaining chips of mortals to meet the little Liang Wang. Or approaching that little Liang Wang. As for these chips, feel free to let them go. The first choice, the first goal, is the path of cultivation. Or rather the way out of here. That's the top priority. Wang Luan was a little helpless to see him so persistent. No way, there will always be collisions. Brother Wang Lun, what you said is actually quite right. Our current manpower is simply not enough to deal with Mr. Huang, but we have to try it. We are born in troubled times, and we don't have much time. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiang Yang walked in from outside. When I saw him coming back, I was not surprised. I took a sip of water and said slowly, "How is it, has it been done in Qingzhou town?" Xiang Yang changed the subject, and Wang Lun did not continue talking about Shunshui town. When the three gathered together, Jian Wushuang told the story of Qingzhou town. "What? You asked me to marry the daughter of Instructor Yang?" Xiang Yang's eyes widened in disbelief. Jian Wushuang nodded, tapped the table, signaled the other party to calm down, then glanced at Wang Lun again, and then said, "Teacher Yang is very important to us. As long as you marry his daughter, Instructor Yang will be in charge of training troops and horses in the future. No, after 3 months, we will be able to pull out a team of 5,000 people. You have also seen those people outside, and they will continue to come in the future. Next spring, a team of 30,000 to 50,000 people is possible, and it will be only then. It is a great cause that is gradually completed. There is nothing wrong with making a little sacrifice." In fact, this was told to Wang Lun. But Xiang Yang doesn't know. He still remembers Xing Luo now, whether it's because of his emotions in the outside world or if he wants to leave here, he needs Xing Luo's help. Although I played the two of them once, I couldn't give up. If he married and had children here, it would be completely useless. What if Xing Luo was watching them secretly? Jian Wushuang patted Xiang Yang on the shoulder, knowing what the other party was thinking. It was nothing more than fear that Xing Luo would see it. But he just hoped that Xing Luo would see, maybe he could make the other party take the initiative to sacrifice himself. Not to let the two of them bury here. It's all gambling. The bet is done, maybe he doesn't need to fight with mortals here. After persuading Xiang Yang, he began to prepare to send people to Qingzhou town. But in the middle, They still have to use these people to take down Shunshui town. Late at night, he called an ear. How much do you know about Mr. Huang from Shunshui town? Jian Wushuang goes straight to the topic. He didn't want to procrastinate. As long as it was feasible, he could do it at noon tomorrow. One ear didn't expect him to ask this, and his eyes turned as smart as him. How could think of what Jian Wushuang was going to do, and he was about to say everything he knew and analyzed it incidentally. Master Huang, his name is Huang Zhilong. The Huang family is the 9th oldest, but he killed his 8 brothers and won the power of the family. Although he is cruel, this guy is also very capable. He holds the entire Shunshui town firmly in his hands. He has never wavered over the years. In her 50s, she also married the 18th concubine, and her life was so nourishing. This person is extremely cold, but he is very loyal to his opponents. In fact, not all of the 800 people can fight. Only 500 people can really go into battle to kill the enemy. The good fields and so on. One ear said carefully. Jian Wushuang nodded silently. He wasn't worried about those doormen and thugs. The only thing he was worried about was prestige. Now listening to one ear say this, he is a little embarrassed. If the opponent is very loyal, then some people will die. Chapter 62-66. Chapter 62-66 bought people's hearts. This is difficult to do. Originally, he thought that the other party was a miser. He originally planned to find a few good players. He took advantage of the dark night to touch the Huang family, and then he first caught Mr. Huang, and then he lobbied for a while, and he won it easily. It now appears that this plan is not working. But he doesn't have enough manpower, so the decapitation can still be reserved. Then he asked some more about Huang Zhileng's hobbies and weaknesses. Blue House. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly. Sure enough, neither the hero nor the hero can pass this beauty level. Around this shortcoming, he can arrange his own plans. One ear, find some smart guys and come to Shunshui town with me tomorrow. Jian Wushuang backhanded. Yes. One ear agreed without hesitation, but he was muttering in his heart. He only brought a few people to Shunshui town. It would be fine if he stepped on the spot, but he couldn't get close to him if he did it. Although he knew Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship, he didn't think that Jian Wushuang could be worth 100. Dismissed an ear. Only Jian Wushuang was left. Everyone is busy with their own business now. Shajia town is becoming more and more stable and prosperous. The next morning, Jian Wushuang had just walked out of the Jusha building when he found that yesterday's tent had disappeared. It was also surprisingly quiet outside. After I asked someone, I found out that everyone was dragged by Xiang Yang to the warehouse to carry ordnance. The small wharf and the materials robbed by Shijiaku were moved out. These things must be delivered to Qingzhou town in advance. People can go later, but things must be faster than people. Otherwise, the process will be delayed. Shajia town suddenly poured into tens of thousands of people, and the expenses were all on the small wharf. Every day when I open my eyes, I now need to spend 1,000 taels of silver. This made Wang Luan very distressed. He simply threw the accountant to his uncle's brother-in-law. Out of sight, out of mind. Jian Wushuang didn't have much opinion on the arrangement of personnel. His business was more important now. I didn't eat any food and went directly to the inn. There is another important guest here. Jian Wushuang, when will you let us go? The guest didn't seem to be happy and stared at Jian Wushuang. This guest is Tang Eru, who was jumped off his horse by him yesterday. Everyone is their own. Why are they so open to the outside world? Jian Wushuang walked towards the other side indifferently, found a place to sit down, looked at the delicious food on the table, and pretended to be concerned. How is it? Let's talk about the food. Don't get too close to me. It's useless to say anything before I see Instructor Yang. Tang Eru glanced his head aside. At this time, Tai Mian Liang Chen happened to walk in with Yang Sheng's youngest son, Yang Sheng. As soon as he saw Yang's son, Tang Eru couldn't sit still. Junior brother Yang, why are you here? Without waiting for the polite Yang Sheng to speak, Jian Wushuang explained in advance. I took it over, and Brother Yang will also be at the small dock in the future. No, it's the Coast Guard Army, and by the way, there is also yours. My eldest brother, Tang Dakian, will also come today, and your sister will serve in the Coast Guard in the future. Your mother is old, so I can't arrange this, but I got her 2 ingenious young men. Take care of the girl, count the time, this meeting should have left Yongqing. With such a detailed arrangement, he started to arrange it when he returned from Qingzhou town. Tang Eru was also shocked by his delicate thoughts and his mouth widened. Now he has to do it if he doesn't want to. In addition to being captured by Jian Wushuang twice, Tang Eru took a deep breath and immediately stood up and clasped his fists at Jian Wushuang. Subordinate Tang Eru, meet the second boss. When he got up, the more than 10 cronies he brought also got up one after another and bowed to Jian Wushuang. This made Yang Sheng, who had just met him, admire him very much, and even Tai Mian Liangchen was full of admiration for Jian Wushuang's methods, but unfortunately they were mortals after all. Taking down a reckless man in the army is too easy for Jian Wushuang. Just speculating is enough. It's all my own, there's no need to be restrained, come and have breakfast together, there's still things to do later. Jian Wushuang waved nonchalantly and let everyone sit down. If you need me to do anything, just tell me, let alone a meal, it's nothing to go to the battlefield. Tang Eru no longer had the arrogance he had before. There is no way that the whole family is now properly arranged by Jian Wushuang, and he has no reason to resist. Besides, he was not valued in Yongqing before. If it weren't for Yang Instructor, I am afraid that even a captain of Qingzhou town would not be able to get along. Said to be a school captain, in fact, is a miscellaneous school captain. The 4 captains in Yongqing each had a heavy army, and he had only 200 of them. Now they have been ordered by Jian Wushuang. Don't worry, eat first. Jian Wushuang pressed his wrist. He didn't panic at all. After breakfast, Tai Mian Liangchen and his brother-in-law continued to get acquainted with Shajia town. This will be their base camp in the future. At the rear is Qingzhou town. There is still a granary missing. Not only is he moving, those mountain masters arranged a few days ago are also expanding their influence. Binhai County, the county seat behind Jiangguida, is also unstable. Originally, this place was the back road for the powerful families of Jianghua to run away. Now the chaos, the most urgent is them. Especially the side of Yongqing, which is now in a state of exhaustion. And these have nothing to do with Jian Wushuang. The waterway was blocked by him, and if he wanted to come, he had to travel by land. The land route was stopped by Qingshui Mountain. Even if King Shuishan lets officers and soldiers come in to encircle and suppress them, once he resists, it is possible to contact King Shuishan to encircle the officers and soldiers together. Even if King Shuishan chose to sit on the mountain and watch the tiger fight because of Xiang Yang's previous grabbing of food, the people in Qiangcheng would not believe such a thing. And Qingshui Mountain won't look at it. For Jian Wushuang and the others, the current situation can be said to be a good one. Even Tang Eru, a reckless man in the army, can see it. Lieutenant Tang, let me ask you a question. What do you need most to train the army? Hearing this, Tang Eru was full and immediately replied, the first is the need for people, and now the coastal guards are not short of people, the second is short of money, I don't know this, the third is short of food, this I guess we must be short. Your analysis is good. Jian Wushuang praised without hesitation. Everyone knows this kind of thing. He was just using this question to lead Shunshui town. Hearing him talking about Shunshui town, Tang Eru's eyes suddenly became murderous, and he said angrily, I know this Shunshui town, it was controlled by that Huang Zhilang, and I was excluded in Yongqing because of his son. This old guy has accumulated a lot of money and food in Shunshui town these years, and there are many people, even the 4 captains of Yongqing are very polite to him. Chapter 62-67, Wan Dao Jianzun, he won't survive tonight. Jian Wushuang stood up, touched the hilt of the sword, and said, Do you dare to take your people to Shunshui town with me? Why don't you dare? I'm still the captain of the school, and Yongqing still doesn't know about Qingzhou town. Let's go there in an open and honest way. It's just to kill Huang Zhilang, I'm afraid it will be difficult. Although Tang Eru is a savage man, but not a fool. Going with people like them is no different from sending them to death. Why, are you afraid? Jian Wushuang said aggressively, "It's just a mere 800 people. I said that if he let him die today, no one could stop him." Tang Eru slapped his thigh and stood up suddenly. "Of course not. I'm just worried about your safety. You don't have to worry about this. Maybe if it goes well, you may not need to take action, and I can take down Huang Jiulong alone." Jian Wushuang shrugged. After saying that, he waved his hand and let the ear who was already waiting for him outside the door come in. "How are you preparing?" "It has been arranged," Jian Wushuang said in a relaxed tone. "Let's go then." A group of dozens of people rode on fast horses and went straight to Shunshui town. Along the way, I encountered many people who escaped from Langshan County, all with their families, and the direction they went to was Shajia town. Jian Wushuang looked at these people with a smile leaking from the corner of his mouth. With that comes pressure. He has to be faster. The little money in his hand is not enough for him to feed so many people. If it wasn't for Xiang Yang taking the food from the tiger's mouth, he might not be able to eat for 3 months with that little money. There must be income now. After rushing to the road for 4 hours in a row, they finally reached Shunshui town. But it didn't go in directly. "Eru, bring 2 good players into casual clothes, and the rest will rest in place. Someone will come and tell you what to do later," Jian Wushuang ordered. Tang Eru said nothing and immediately took off his armor. One ear was well prepared and handed them casual clothes. In this way, a group of 5 people disguised as Shangjia entered Shunshui town. Shajia town is a wharf, Qingzhou town is a military town, so Shunshui town is a complete farming town. There are 30,000 households living in the whole town, with a population of more than 100,000. The core place is not inferior to Yongqing, which is very prosperous. And relying on the canal, there are many inns and brothels on the river bank. Find a place to stay first. "Already prepared," one ear said, and took everyone to an inn on the river bank. This inn is several times better than the one in Shajia town. The guys in the store alone are full of energy. Seeing the objectiveness of their riding, they greeted people with a smile and greeted them with horses. Jian Wushuang got off his horse, threw a silver ingot, and said indifferently, "Arrange 2 guest rooms, and prepare a table of good wine and good food." "No problem." The shop assistant had never seen such a generous guest. His smile became more attentive, and he took Jian Wushuang and the others to the best box. "Wait a moment. The guest room has been arranged, and the food and drink will be here soon." After Xiao Er finished speaking, he closed the door very wisely and walked downstairs lightly. Sitting by the window, Jian Wushuang looked at the calm riverside, thinking about the night's plan in his mind. Soon the wine and food were served, but no one was drinking, and they didn't even move the food. Because Jian Wushuang did not move. After a while, there was a sound of footsteps outside the door, and Jian Wushuang turned his head and motioned one ear to open the door. Opening the door, I saw 2 sturdy men in Jianghu costumes walking in. One ear greeted the 2 of them to sit down, and Jian Wushuang introduced, "These 2 are brothers from Langshan County. These 2 are the killers that Jian Wushuang arranged for one ear to find before. Jianghu people call it jackal. The tall one is a jackal, and the short one is a wolf. Both of them have a chilling aura that no strangers should enter. At first glance, they are definitely not ordinary people. Letting them come this time is also one of Jian Wushuang's plans." After his inquiries, although Huang Jiulong was loyal and treated his guests very well, he didn't care about his own sons at all. It may also be because of the cannibalism at the beginning he has not delegated power to his sons. However, his sons each wanted to follow their father's example and kill their brothers to seize power. It's just that because he has no power, he can only endure one by one. In this way, as long as Huang Jiulong dies, the Huang family will fight within. At that time, they won't care how they develop and they won't worry about dying. If he retreated, he could hold Shunshui town, and if he entered, he could support the puppet. This is his plan. If you want to be supportive, you can't kill Huang Jiulong yourself first, you must find someone else to do it. So let one ear find 2 Jianghu people. Jian Wushuang stood up, poured wine for the 2 of them in person, and said politely, "This time, I will trouble the 2 brothers, and I have already arranged the future for you, Just do it with confidence. Don't be so polite. As long as we have enough money, the two of us will never miss, and you don't have to worry about running away. Jackal's voice was extremely cold, and there was no emotion at all. Seeing this, One Ear hurriedly said, "Don't take offense, these two brothers have always been like this, and they are doing things like this. Okay, I'll wait for your good news tonight." Jian Wushuang didn't care about it. The two Jackal brothers drank a glass of wine and immediately got up and left. One Ear followed. After repeating the specific situation again, he returned to the private room. Things have been arranged. Jian Wushuang nodded lightly, and then greeted, "Don't be stunned, it's time to eat and drink. Go to Cuixiang Pavilion to relax at night." Tang Eru couldn't take it anymore. He thought that Jian Wushuang came to do it himself, but he just found two Jianghu killers. He was becoming more and more incapable of seeing Jian Wushuang, and he simply stopped thinking about it, drinking and eating meat. Isn't it fragrant? After everyone was full, the sky darkened. But the water reflected light. A good show has begun. Take everyone to the Cuixiang Pavilion next door. Don't think it's very elegant by the name, it's actually a brothel. It's just that this brothel is a little reserved. There is no such thing as the customary woman who stops everyone. There are only those ladies who cover their faces and smile. The group entered the Cuixiang building together, crossed the exquisite wooden bridge, and came to the front of the building. No one came to greet them, and after they walked in, a woman who still had a graceful charm walked out. From her face, it could be seen that she was definitely a beautiful woman back then. After seeing Jian Wushuang and this pedestrian, he just glanced at it and walked towards Jian Wushuang. "This objective, do you want to come here to listen to music or watch the scenery? What's the difference between the two?" "Hee, the difference here is big." The beautiful woman said shyly, "One can only listen, and the other can only see. The first more exciting kben. 0, pigeon must be added to favorites." Chapter 62-68. Wan Dao Jian Zun. When it sets up an archway, the first one. Tang Eru smiled disdainfully. The beautiful woman was not annoyed when she heard it, but said neither humble nor arrogant. "The song is not right, the scenery is not attractive, where is the archway?" "Interesting." Jian Wushuang nodded lightly with a smile. It was not the first time he had visited the brothel, but it was the first time he had seen such an interesting person, the madam. "I think when I went to Daxia, I took Bai Jun Wang to visit the kiln, but it was more amorous than this. How could there be so many rules and regulations? Dare practitioners are not as reserved as these mortals, they are simply vulgar." One Ear was thinking about tonight's major events, so he didn't bother to discuss directly with this beautiful woman, so he stepped forward and said, "Okay, just take my master to the riverside in the backyard, it's not bad." As soon as the beautiful woman heard this, she knew that she was introduced by a regular customer, and she didn't say anything more, and directly quoted the price. Entering the backyard riverside, one person is 30 taels of silver. The 5 of them are 150 taels. Hearing this price, Jian Wushuang felt that they were always so reserved. The asking price is simply too harsh. At the same time, he is also envious of Huang Zhilang's ability of old money, far from the Huang family's 100,000 fertile fields, and these brothel inns, almost all of Huang Zhilang's property. In the huge Shanshui town, except for those poor people, the rest of the profitable industries belonged to the Huang family. No wonder Shanshui town was held so firmly in the hands of the Huang family. After paying the money, the beautiful woman took them into the river bank in the backyard. It is already a place for singing and dancing, and all the beautiful young girls dance gracefully, and the extravagant sound evokes people's hearts. Jian Wushuang and others found a place to sit, but did not see Huang Zhilang in the backyard. According to the information, Huang Zhilang will come tonight, and he will sit at the front every time. This position was also prepared for Huang Zhilang. Perhaps because it was still early, Jian Wushuang didn't take it to heart, so he plunged into it and waited for the fish to take the bait. After about a quarter of an hour, a group of people had already changed on the field. At this time, there was a commotion outside. Jian Wushuang turned his head, looked for the voice, and saw a middle-aged man in a yellow jacket striding over. A few people behind him looked around. These were all expected by Jian Wushuang, but two of them made Jian Wushuang frown. Wuxing Heinyo. These two people from Qingshui Mountain are actually here. Obviously, after leaving one day, he came directly to Shunshui town. The yard was so big he couldn't avoid the eyes of the two at all. He simply stood up and greeted the other party. "Brother Wu, what a coincidence!" Seeing him here, Wuxing was also very surprised, first glanced at Huang Jialang and then hurriedly walked towards Jian Wushuang. "It's really a coincidence, I didn't expect to meet the second gear here." After being polite, Wuxing turned to introduce Huang Jialang. "Master Huang, this is the Jian Wushuang I mentioned to you, Xiao Quan. The second gear." Huang Jialang, as rumored, seems to be very low-key, but in fact the city is very deep. "I've heard that there is a big man in Shajia town, but I didn't expect to meet him on my sight. I'm really lucky," Huang Jialang said very politely. But he and Wuxing were both puzzled at this time. Why did Jian Wushuang come to Shunshui town? Jian Wushuang also wondered why Wuxing came to Shunshui town. But it's not hard to guess. 80% of it is because his ambitions are too big, and Qingshui and Shunshui town have to cooperate. Fortunately, he was ruthless enough to kill Huang Jialang in advance. Otherwise, when he frees up his hand, the other party will also make a team of several thousand people. At that time, he has no money or food, but he will not be able to consume these people. There are also some concerns about today's plans. It will definitely make them suspicious. He is the second gear of a small wharf, and at this time he came to Shunshui town. And he also came to visit the kiln, which is also a kiln that Huang Jialang frequented, and happened to meet here. No one would believe it would be so coincidental. Who doesn't know that Shajia town is so busy now? How can Jian Wushuang, the key person, come here for entertainment, and Shajia town is more than 100 miles away from here? Came here on horseback, but also exhausted the heart of playing. Both sides have their own guesses. But there is no big guess. It's all up to the point. In fact, this time Qingshui cooperated with Master Huang to win Jian Wushuang. I plan to send someone to attack Shajia town at the same time. As long as Shajia town is captured, it will be regarded as killing Jian Wushuang. No matter how big Jian Wushuang's strategy is, without Shajia town, it is only a matter of fact. One move to defeat the enemy. From the hands of Wuxing, Jian Wushuang felt that this person had some ability and was definitely not mediocre. It's just that seeing Jian Wushuang here at this time made Wuxing's heart skip a beat. He was also afraid that Jian Wushuang would cooperate with Master Huang to deal with Qingshui Mountain. After meeting each other and saying hello, Huang Jialang did not invite Jian Wushuang to sit at the same table, but took Wuxing and Heinyo to the main seat. He knew from Wuxing that Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship was excellent, and he also carried a sword. Just as Huang Jialang sat down here, he winked at his subordinates and motioned to go back and call for someone to bring more people. Jian Wushuang also gave an ear a wink, signaling to hurry up. Can't be dragged. Otherwise, there will be no chance to do it. He doesn't know much about the Jianghu people in this world, and he doesn't know how the opponent's force is. In case of failure, it would be difficult for him to leave today. Although it has nothing to do with him on the surface, a ruthless character like Huang Jialang will never let the tiger go back to the mountain. When he was besieged, although he had the confidence to break through, the follow-up plan failed. For a time, both sides acted simultaneously. However, Jian Wushuang is faster here. The two Jackal brothers have sneaked into the Cuixiang pavilion at this time, and now they are waiting for an opportunity. In order to make the other party move faster, this opportunity Jian Wushuang personally paved the way for the other party. Raising his eyes gave Tang Eru a signal. It's a pity that this elm head is as observant as an ear, and if he has this ability, he won't be mixed up with a bad school captain. Jian Wushuang was a little helpless, and could only draw attention by himself. After taking a sip of strong wine, stood up staggeringly, and rushed over to the young girl who was dancing gracefully. "Beauty, isn't it cold for you to wear so little?" Jian Wushuang used a tone of disgust to tease a brothel woman. If this is spread out, he will not be able to mix in the future. But now it has to be done. Not only did he move his mouth, but he also moved his hands. With such a fuss, I originally thought that the other party would be panicked, attracting the attention of Huang Jialong and others, and the two Jackal brothers could also start. Unexpectedly, he hugged the girl in the tool, and the other party didn't resist at all, but instead fell into his arms, with flushed cheeks just a little shy. Why is it different from what I expected? Jian Wushuang was a little panicked. According to what he thought, the other party should not resist, or should he scream? The first more exciting Kben. 0, arc, pigeon must be added to favorites. Chapter 62-69. He was careless and missed, because he forgot that he had a face that was enough to make ordinary women fall in love. Fortunately, it's not his fault. He could only hug the beautiful woman in his arms and walk back to his seat. His expression sank as soon as he sat down. If you can't let go here, you can go upstairs. The girl leaning on Jian Wushuang's chest sounded like a mosquito. Jian Wushuang wiped his face. What is this all about? But at this moment, a thunder suddenly exploded in the sky. Everyone looked up and saw fireworks in full bloom. But they didn't know that Huang Jialong, who was on the main seat, also bloomed a flower at this time, but this flower was blood red. Killed! A cry of exclamation drew everyone's attention to Huang Jialong. I saw Huang Jialong clutching his neck at this time, but the blood was pouring down. This scene frightened the young girls, and some of the guests were so frightened that they wanted to rush out of the backyard. The scene was a mess for a while. Jian Wushuang and others also got up one after another. Then it's time for a good show. And there's even a lot of grievances. I don't know who shouted to catch the assassin, Huang Zhilang's disciples, and then drew their swords to surround everyone. At this time, one ear shouted loudly, I just saw that it was the guy who did it, and he will avenge Jiu Yi soon. Hack him to death for me. Among the many guests of the Huang family, a thin middle-aged man rushed over with a knife drawn. If one takes the lead, there is another. One ear's words, coupled with the identification of Huang Jiamenk, immediately put Wu Xing and He Niu under siege. You fart. Black news suddenly burst out. Wu Xing on the side was also pale, and he obviously did not expect such a thing to happen. Now I just think with Mai to know that Jian Wushuang and the others did it, and then framed it for him. But he has nothing to defend. If he leaves now, he will definitely be hunted down by the Huang family. Even if he escapes, he will provoke an opponent for King Shuishan. If you don't leave, then you will fall into Jian Wushuang's arms. Just when Wu Xing was tangled, the Huang family had already surrounded the backyard. As for the real murder, he had already left here. The two Jackal brothers are very quick. There was no chance for Huang Jiamenk at all, and now only Jian Wushuang and his party and Wu Xing were left. Brother Fong, listen to me, someone must have framed the two of my brothers. Don't forget that I'm here today on behalf of Qingshui Mountain. Wu Xing was relatively calm, knowing that he couldn't do anything. He hurriedly stopped the other party. Fong Qingxin, the first guest of the Huang family, pulled out the bright white blade, with anger and sorrow in his eyes. How can you make me believe you? He didn't see who did it just now, but everyone said that it was done by a black cow, so he couldn't turn a blind eye. Soon, several sons of Huang Jialong also came. Seeing that his father was dead, he didn't know whether to laugh or be sad, and everyone was a little caught off guard. But now they all understand a truth: whoever avenges the old man will be able to take over the entire Huang family. Hearing that King Shuishan did it, regardless of the consequences, he raised his sword and rushed towards Wu Xing and He Niu. Fong Qingxin, as the first guest of the Huang family, is also an old river and lake. Knowing that this matter is rather strange, he hurriedly stopped a few young masters. But at this time, Huang Zhilang's sons didn't care about this. They didn't listen to Fong Qingxin at all. He had been under pressure from these doormen before, but now that his father is gone, he will naturally ignore him. Fong Qingxin, my Huang family treats you well. Now the murderer who killed my father is standing there. If you don't take revenge, that's all. Stop me. Could it be that you colluded with them? Several Huang family juniors have suspicion in their eyes. Some people think that some of their brothers did this thing. Anyway, the truth is useless to them. Only by killing the enemy is the clear choice. Seeing the chaos, Jian Wushuang waved his hand and signaled the others to leave first, so as not to be confused and be splashed with dirty water. Only Tang Eru was left to follow him. Wu Xing and He Niu were back to back, and now they are forcing them to do it. Glancing at Jian Wushuang in the crowd, there was anger and fear in his eyes. If he throws dirty water on Jian Wushuang now, he can also pull the opponent into the game. But he didn't. Because he knew that Jian Wushuang dared to do this, there must be something behind him. Now there is only one chance to survive. That is to cooperate with Jian Wushuang. Wu Xing immediately shouted, "Brother Wushuang, everything is done. It's not good for you to stand by and watch jokes." When he said this, he was not only cooperating with Jian Wushuang, but also pulling Jian Wushuang into the game. It depends on what Jian Wushuang does. In fact, Jian Wushuang also expected this, so let one ear lead the others to go first. He came today, but to win Shanshui town, just watching a joke is not enough. Looks like you have to do it. Jian Wushuang raised his hand and rushed out with his sword drawn. The first one to kill was Fang Qingxin. This guy is deeply entrenched in the Huang family and is also on the eradication list. Seeing him make a move, Wu Xing and He Niu also counterattacked and took the initiative. Anyway, it's all black, and I don't care about more blood. The manpower arranged by Jian Wushuang outside also rushed in at this time. It was a slashing at the Huang family. After a stick of incense, the backyard has become hell. The corpses on the ground were mixed with blood and water. Both Jian Wushuang and Tang Eru were covered in blood, as were Wu Xing and He Niu. Both of them have good martial arts, especially He Niu, who he has experienced before. Second block, the cavalry is here too, you can go to the Huang's house at any time. He walked in after seeing that everyone fell to the ground. Well, let Wang take the helm. Jian Wushuang said indifferently. The current Huang family, although there are still several hundred guests. But Huang Jilang died, and so did Fang Qingxin. Several younger members of the Huang family who were fighting for power also died. Those gatekeepers are useless, so it's just right for Wang Luan to go. As for this black pot, it is King Shuishanbain Bei. Brother Wu, are you going back to Qingshui Mountain now, or are you going back to Shajia town with me to form a coastal guard force? I have no choice. Wu Xing smiled bitterly. He is now carrying the matter of collaborating with Jian Wushuang to kill Huang Jilang, and he must be suspected of returning to Qingshui Mountain. The black bull next to him hasn't responded yet. He is the most confused now. Why did you cast the small pier all of a sudden? But now the matter has come to an end, and since he was originally a follower of Wu Xing, it is not easy to ask openly. In the follow-up, Jian Wushuang asked Wang Luan to clean up. This is also a time to accumulate prestige. It was useless to him, but it was too useful to Wang Luan. So do it yourself. Jian Wushuang took Wu Xing and the two back to Shijiaku. Start preparations for going to Qingzhou town to train troops in 2 days. Chapter 6270. With the addition of Wu Xing, some small details do not need Jian Wushuang to do. All he needs to do is sit in the rear. The rest was left to Wu Xing and Wang Luan. 2 days passed in a flash. Shanshui town was taken down, and Wu Xing even wrote to Qingshui Mountain to persuade him to surrender. After winning Qingshui Mountain, the entire Binhai County is basically within their grasp. This is Jiangguo's back road. If they were controlled by them, the first to panic would be those powerful people in Jiang country. It's just that they haven't realized it yet. Even the movement in Yongcheng was very small. But next, they will see a whole new force. 2 days later, Jian Wushuang personally took the carefully selected 5,000 young men to Qingzhou town, and took Xiang Yang with him. He also wanted to try whether Xing Luo was here or not. If he was, he might be able to get it out. It's a pity to think too much. After a month of marriage, Xing Luo was not allowed to show up. Jian Wushuang completely dismissed the idea, and even Xiang Yang gave up. He was completely bound to Yang instructor, and he was very careful when training troops and horses. After all, this was his own power. In just 1 month, the 5,000 young men had become 5,000 guards. Although it has not yet produced much combat power, the numbers reported are also very bluffing. King Shuishan, who was still hesitant at first, turned his back. Since then, the small pier no longer exists. It was replaced by the Coast Guard. The bandits from Qingshui Mountain were successfully received, and the team grew stronger again. Now, whether it is military affairs or the plan to win Yongqing, Jian Wushuang does not need to do it in person. It also made him happy and relaxed. If it was in the past, I am afraid that he was in retreat, but now he can only read books behind closed doors. I read some ancient books collected from all over the world. Especially for some anecdotes and secrets, Jian Wushuang is one that has not fallen. There are also many interesting things to see. Candle Dragon Mountain. There is a towering mountain in the west of Binhai County. It is rumored that a candle dragon has appeared here. No matter the divine beasts that have appeared in the material realm, the candle dragons can be regarded as a group with extremely strong bloodline power. The candle dragon can appear, indicating that there are some treasures that attract the other party. Anyway, I was bored, so Jian Wushuang was going to take a look. Now the Coast Guard is on the right track. With the big granary of Shunshui Town, they can keep gathering people. The refugees alone have received more than 30,000 people, and the second batch of young adults has gathered more than 8,000 people. A group of people is sent every month. There were 30,000 to 50,000 horses in the first year. Maybe it was really possible, but it was a pity that there were no war horses, otherwise, a cavalry could be formed. It is a pity that most of Binhai County is surrounded by mountains, which is not suitable for raising horses, and it is difficult to deploy cavalry. He simply didn't bother. Anyway, all he wanted was a bluffing amount. Use this as a bargaining chip to approach the little Liang Wang. On the other hand, Xiang Yang has now been integrated into the mortals. Jian Wushuang did not remind the other party. In fact, it is not bad to be able to integrate into it in the mortal world. Maybe it's all down to that mortal woman. The next morning, Jian Wushuang asked people to prepare a group of fast horses and left Qingzhou town alone, running all the way towards Candle Dragon Mountain. The distance of 100 miles took almost 5 hours, and it was not until the afternoon when the sun was about to go down that I came to the range of Candle Dragon Mountain. He couldn't go shopping today. He could only find a nearby village to rest for one night. But after searching for a long time, I couldn't find a village to settle down. It was surrounded by weeds, entwined with bushes. There was no way. The sky was already dark, so he found a flat ground and prepared to rest on the spot for the night. As night fell, there was a constant noise in the bushes. Jian Wushuang also lit the fire. The weather at this time was not cold. It could only be said that it was a little cold. The bonfire was only to disperse the beasts and relieve the stomach by the way. He walked in a hurry, and he didn't bring dry food. His stomach was screaming in the middle of the night. Fortunately, in the dead of night, I heard the sound of water flowing. It should be a stream flowing down from the mountain. Jian Wushuang held the torch and heard the sound, thinking of catching a few fish to fill my stomach. But when he set the torch to go into the water, he saw a figure in white floating in the water. At night, Jian Wushuang was startled by this. Although he has experienced a lot, but now a mortal body, accompanied by the howl of beasts, in this desolate and populated creek, seeing a pale figure, it is inevitable to tremble in the heart. With a little shrewdness, he returned to shore again. The body floating in the water drifted downstream along the current. He took a deep breath and was not hungry anymore. It seems not dead. Jian Wushuang's eyes moved, and he went into the water and fished the body back. When he was dragged to the shore, he realized that the other party was a daughter. He was wearing men's clothing. He didn't care so much. He directly carried the other party on his shoulders and returned to the campfire. Looking at the other's bulging belly, she knew that she didn't drink less water. There is an old saying in the common people called, "Saving a life is better than building a 7-level pagoda." Jian Wushuang is immortal now, and he is not exempt. If you can save someone's life, you will still help. After all, there is nothing to lose to him. Laying the woman flat on the grass, he squeezed the opponent's chest a few times, and the woman in white immediately coughed a few times, choking out the water weeds out of her mouth. If you can spit out the water, you can basically survive. Looking at the pale, smiling face of the other party with the help of the bonfire, Jian Wushuang felt a little familiar, but he couldn't name him. After repeating it several times, the other party's lower abdomen calmed down. Jian Wushuang took her to the bonfire to avoid catching a cold, while he leaned against the stone, holding the sword in both hands and squinting slightly, waiting for the dawn. The night was long and peaceful. Early morning. Jian Wushuang went to the stream as early as possible, took a shower, and caught a few grass carp hiding in the crevices of the stones. Thought about going back and roasting it for a while, so that I could feed my stomach. Just when he returned to the unextinguished bonfire with the fish, he found that the woman in white woke up. And the other party just took off his shirt and was drying the clothes with the embers. Looking at the opponent's uncovered back, Jian Wushuang was stunned for a moment, and the fish in his hand fell. When the woman heard the sound, she turned her head quickly. When she saw him, her eyes widened. She quickly wrapped her clothes around her chest, and her eyes also revealed a sharpness. Seeing the man in front of him staring at her with a foolish expression, the woman in white immediately got furious, stood up immediately and scolded, "If you dare to look again, this palace will gouge your eyes." She held her claws in both hands, and the stone on the ground was directly sucked into her hands, and she smashed it directly into Jian Wushuang's chest. Jian Wushuang didn't have time to react, and was directly smashed to the ground. But he still wanted to look up. Chapter 6271. Chapter 6271. Wan Lu reappears because on the opponent's back, Jian Wushuang saw a totem. It was a trembling tree. Wan Lu Shenmu. He will never forget. That's why I was so surprised I kept staring. The woman in white didn't know, and thought that Jian Wushuang was guilty of lust. "How capable do I think you are, that's all?" The woman in white sneered. Jian Wushuang covered his chest with one hand, ignoring the pain, and asked, "How did the Wan Lu Shenmu on your back come from?" Looking at the other party's methods, it is absolutely extraordinary, and it must have some relationship with Shenmu. "You recognize?" The woman in white frowned. She didn't expect the person in front of her to recognize the mysterious willow tree on her back. "Answer my question first." Jian Wushuang is very tough. On the contrary, this made the woman in white a little surprised. An ordinary mortal dared to talk to him like this, and he couldn't help but sneer. "It's not up to you now." The woman in white took out a small wooden tube from her waist, pulled it towards the sky, and a fiery red beam shot into the sky. After a while, the sound of hooves could be heard in the distance. Jian Wushuang also recovered at this time. He didn't know the identity of the other party, but he knew that if he fell into the hands of the other party, he would probably be severely tortured. Before the pedestrian arrived, he turned over and rushed directly into the bushes. The woman in white just wanted to chase, but there was a shock from her chest, and she spit out a mouthful of blood, obviously injured. At this time, the sound of hooves in the distance was also approaching. After seeing the woman in white, he quickly turned over and dismounted, and said respectfully, "Your Majesty. Bring someone in to search, be sure to find him." "Yes. Remember, be alive." As ordered. The group gave up their horses and rushed into the bushes with their swords on their shoulders. The white-robed woman's eyes flashed with suspicion and surprise. It was obvious that the other party was just an ordinary person, but knowing the mysterious willow tree on her back must have something to do with her life experience. So be sure to grab Jian Wushuang. After instructing her men, she got on a fast horse and left Candle Dragon Mountain with the rest of the people. Because there are more important things to do. And Jian Wushuang suffered here. He entered the bushes and ran all the way, and went directly to the depths of Candle Dragon Mountain, without letting go of the pursuers behind him. These people are all amazing. Although they are mortals, they are powerful, and they are definitely not comparable to those bandits. Not like Jianghu people. This made Jian Wushuang very curious about the identity of the other party, so he deliberately left a loophole and let the other party split up to catch him. Then took the opportunity to scratch his tongue. The dazzling blade rested on the opponent's neck. Jian Wushuang said in a low tone, "Who is the woman in white just now? Honestly, I can give you a way to survive." Don't think about it. The person he held hostage actually wiped his neck, which caught Jian Wushuang by surprise. Not afraid to die. And so much force. It made Jian Wushuang even more curious about the identity of the other party, but unfortunately there is no way to inquire now, so he can only enter Candle Dragon Mountain to hide. At night he finally got rid of the other party. And he also entered the desolate Candle Dragon Mountain. The terrain here is complicated and it is easy to get lost. Fortunately, he has a good sense of direction, and he did not lose his direction, and moved slowly towards the mountain. It's just that my stomach is rumbling and I can't find any food. After persevering for a night, he chose to go down the mountain during the day and went out of the Candle Dragon Mountain from the other end. Go towards Qingshui Mountain. This trip to Candle Dragon Mountain, although there is no substantial receipt, but seeing the Wanlu Shenmu on the back of the woman in white, he is even more convinced that this world has a relationship with Wanlu, and even the prophet. Thinking of the previous dream, he was even more convinced. This world is related to Wanlu Shenmu, it is also related to the prophet, and even more related to him. Because he knew the prophet helped him many times, not to mention Wanlu Shenmu. The things that had been taken away by Weiss appeared here. He had entered the Wanlu Shenmu, and it was also the place where Dan Bao obtained the Tao. Now that he appeared in this world, 80% of it had something to do with him. It's just that now he is still ordinary, unable to find the mystery. This also made him even more eager to return to the path of cultivation. Only by regaining strength can we figure out the secret here. So much so that when he arrived at Qingshui Mountain, he was also a mysterious person. Stationed here is the Black Bull. There are also 3,000 soldiers and horses that have just been trained, all commanded by the Black Bull. Each of these 3,000 people used a mountain axe, best for close combat. It is also to resist the troops from Yongqing. There are still several thousand officers and soldiers in Yongqing, and they can't be careless. Seeing that he was mysterious, He Nyo stepped forward and asked, "I heard that you went to Candle Dragon Mountain, what's the matter? You are unhappy alone, could you be bullied? You won't understand." Jian Wushuang smiled bitterly, and then changed the subject. "How is it recently? How is the movement in Yongqing? Are they just watching our development like this?" In today's Binhai County, almost every town has their people. The original mountain masters have now won the important towns on their respective sites, and each holds the front men and horses. The entire coastal army, if all counted, would have already exceeded 10,000 people. And the official roads between the towns were also taken down. Yongqing is now an isolated city. Although the people below did not say anything about rebelling, they also violated their yin and yang and did not listen to their orders. I am afraid that one by one is as anxious as the ants on the hot pot. Don't say it, a few dignitaries came to Yongqing a few days ago, and they all came to give money. They said that it would be convenient for the waterway officials to travel in the future. As long as their merchant ships can go to sea smoothly, how can Binhai County be tossed? Won't take care of you. Hearing He Nyo's answer, Jian Wushuang also smiled. It's almost as he guessed, just faster than he thought. He originally thought that the other party would surrender to appease him, but he would not send troops to suppress it anyway. Now it seems that recruiting and surrendering are exempted, and we can directly start discussing cooperation. But now they want to talk, they don't talk anymore. The merchant ships in the past are still won, forcing Yongqing to divert the road. But after the diversion, the speed is very slow, and the wind and waves are strong, and it is easy to sink the ship. And these things have nothing to do with Jian Wushuang, and he is too lazy to care. At noon, King Shuishan slaughtered chickens and sheep, and treated Jian Wushuang well. In the past few days, he was also starving and fainted on the mountain, and Jian Wushuang was not polite. The things in my mind were also thrown out of my mind. He felt that those things should not be rushed. Delaying 1 day or 2 years is not really time. A retreat in the outside world starts in a million epochs. At this time, he was still waiting, and the only thing he was anxious about was cultivation. In Qingshui Mountain Ji Hall, he was drinking with He Nyo when a sudden report came from outside. Chapter 6272. Chapter 6272 goes further. It came from people on the nearby official road. There was a group of people who killed many of their brothers. And the shot was ruthless, and he didn't hold back at all. Hei Nyo immediately widened his eyes when he heard this, and said angrily in his turn, "Lead the way, I will meet these people in person, and dare to come to our Qingshui mountains to be wild, it's really boring to live." And many more. Jian Wushuang grabbed the Hei Nyo, turned to look at the scout who reported the report, and asked, "Which direction did the other party come from?" The person who can kill them unscrupulously from Qingshui Mountain cannot be the person from Binhai County. Because now the entire Binhai County knows that Qingshui Mountain belongs to the Coastal Guard's territory. Even the dignitaries in Yongcheng dare not offend them, for fear that they will attack the city directly. How dare you kill someone? So the other party must be an outsider. And here is not close to the waterway, the people who come from outside come from the waterway, and most of the people who come from the land are from Yongcheng. It is impossible for Yongcheng to do something to the people from Qingshui Mountain. Then there is only one possibility. It was the group of people who chased and killed him earlier in Candle Dragon Mountain. When he heard that it was coming from the direction of Candle Dragon Mountain, he was even more certain. "I'll go with you." Hei Nyo waved his hand and said, "No, for such a trivial matter, I'll just take someone there." "You can't handle them." Jian Wushuang shook his head. Immediately, the two of them set off together, with 500 swordsmen and 200 cavalrymen in pursuit. To be on the safe side, he also asked some nearby allies to be notified. That is, the mountain master of Zhaoan at the beginning. All came out. Thousands of people went to surround and suppress that group. Unfortunately, by the time they arrived at the official road, the other party had long since disappeared. After inquiring, I found out that one of the white-clothed masters, who slaughtered the mountain, went to Yongcheng by water. You don't need to ask to know that the man in white is the woman he rescued, the woman with Wanlu Shenmu behind her. This person is not ordinary, and has a unique use of qi. At the beginning, he saw the luck of the opponent's palm with his own eyes, and sucked a stone from the ground into the palm of his hand. In fact, this has nothing to do with cultivators, because in Jian Wushuang's view, if he does not become a Taoist ancestor, he is not considered a cultivator. He doesn't know the cultivation rules of this world now, that's why he thinks so. If he really wants to be like what he said, only if he has the strength to become a Taoist ancestor can be regarded as a practitioner. Then there may be no practitioners in this world. After the mysterious failure of the siege, Jian Wushuang returned to Qingzhou town by the way. He didn't tell Xiang Yang what happened to him, because the other party didn't know that Wanlu Shenmu said it was useless. Just stay out of the house alone. Anyway, big and small things are now in charge. He is also not worried about himself being overthrown. Anyway, there is Xiang Yang staring. Time flies, it's New Year's Eve. New Year's Day. Many people came to visit. Jian Wushuang greeted everyone one by one. In the evening, only he and Xiang Yangji were left to talk about the events of these days. In a flash, they have all entered this world for more than half a year. Today, the Coast Guard is developing rapidly, and it has 50,000 horses. The combat power is not very high, but this number can definitely scare people. It can be said that the current dignitaries in Yongcheng have almost run away, for fear that they would not be able to escape when they attacked Yongcheng. As for the officers and soldiers stationed there, almost all of them became their people. As soon as the court had any orders, they were sent to Qingzhou town as soon as possible. This also saves Jian Wushuang and the others who sent people to attack, and directly asked Wu Xing to lead people to take over Yongcheng. After the new year, everyone discussed to settle in Yongcheng together, which is considered to have won the entire Binhai County in one fell swoop. But these are not too important to Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang. Should we go further? Xiang Yang drank his tea and said indifferently, "I know your plan. Let's use the chips in our hands to cooperate with King Xiaoyang and get the practice method from him." Jian Wushuang was a little surprised at first, and then teased, "Looking at how good your life has been recently, I thought you had forgotten all about this, or just live in this world. Why go out and become a leader with your aptitude? Cosmic gods are enough. Even if you become a cosmic god, with a maximum of 3 stars, You will not be considered a super strong in the entire world continent. In this world it is different. Maybe you can still be the emperor. Come on, the life of a mortal starts with passion, but it will take a long time to suffer. Xiang Yang shook his head helplessly. The life of mortals is indeed like this, from the beginning full of passion, to the dullness later, facing death. Life does not bring it, and death does not take it away. Everything is a bubble. This is something they can understand when they become Yenxian. How could you fall into this mortal trap? The two chatted for a long time. The bottom of my heart is also full of strength. A few days later, everyone went to Yongqing with their families, young and old. This stay is another half a year. In the summer, the situation in Langshan County is getting more and more anxious. And they are developing in a hurry and don't care about the world. His subordinates have gathered 100,000 soldiers and horses, and they are ready to move when they are recharged. The Jiang Kingdom's court, unable to ignore their existence any longer, began to constantly test Wang Lun's meaning. Zhaoan. In addition to Jiang's Zhaoan, there is also a post by the Yu Kingdom's Xiaoyang king. This is not an order, it is a surrender. And with a commanding tone. In the main lobby of Yongqing, Jian Wushuang and his group were divided into 2 rows. It looks like a palace. At the moment, it was too noisy. According to Jian Wushuang's original strategy, he directly voted for King Xiaoyang. But now that he has the confidence of his troops and horses, his ambitions can no longer be suppressed. The radicals headed by Wu Xing felt that they could compete in the world, and there was no need to rely on anyone. Tai Mian Liangchen advocated taking refuge with the little Liang king. At present, their soldiers and horses can only maintain 100,000 people, and they cannot support more. It doesn't have that power either. Competing in the world requires capital. Once Jianggui is gone, they can't stop the Vietnamese army at all. Wang Luan felt that he could rely on Jianggui to resist Yugua, so that he could be a servant of the dragon. The least ambitious one. Actually, it is more stable. If you take refuge in Vietnam, others will not take you seriously at all. Not much benefit. But it is different to take refuge in Jianggui. Now Jianggui lacks their team. Seeing everyone arguing about every result, the silent Xiang Yang opened his mouth to Jian Wushuang. Brother Wushuang, I think it's up to you to make up your mind. Then everyone shut up and turned their heads to look down at Jian Wushuang. The coastal army can have such a scale, and it also has many pieces of Jian Wushuang's early planning and bold behavior. And the original strategy is also set by Jian Wushuang. Now, of course, I have to listen to Jian Wushuang's opinion. The reason why Xiang Yang said this was to let Jian Wushuang choose. 4229/10807712. Chapter 6273. The first choice is naturally Xiaoyang Wang. The other party is likely to be a cultivator, and relying on the other party can make the two embark on the path of cultivation. But now it seems that the other party did not take them seriously. Even if you take refuge, this is not the time. You have to get more of your chips. But now the development has reached a bottleneck. If you want to go further, you must go to Langshan County. First vote for Jianggui, play your role, let yourself have more chips, and then negotiate conditions with Xiaoyang Wang. Jian Wushuang only thought of this method. You can't tell these people outright. Once said, morale is gone. He knew that after these people knew the truth, they would definitely slack off, and they would not be able to play effectively at that time. At that time, he and Xiang Yang would be dumbfounded. However, they also thought about the way forward, that is, to go to the eastern Lantang. There is the peak of the dynasty, and it is also a place where practitioners often haunt. If it doesn't work, just run away. Jian Wushuang pondered for a moment, and then said, some things will change. When I said that I would join the Xiaoyang king, I thought we would be useful to the country of Yu, but now everyone has seen it. Besides, we are all from the country of Jiang, and if we surrender now, even if we can exchange for peace, what is the use, and we will be liquidated sooner or later. Zayashuba book, what do you think about that close? Tai Mian Liangchen looked at Jian Wushuang. The rest are the same. Except for the good times, it is all about self-interest. Whether it is those mountain owners or people from Qingshui Mountain or Wang Luan and Yang Zixing. They are all concerned about their future. It doesn't matter who wins or loses. To cooperate with Jianghua and send troops to Langshan County, I will go to Jiang Wangcheng to talk to them in person. This sentence made everyone stunned, and they didn't expect him to be so decisive. Will it be too fast to send troops directly? Wang Luan hesitated. Not to mention the rest. Especially the iron-faced Liangqin who advocated taking refuge with King Xiaoyang, surprised, "Brother Wushuang, take refuge in Jianghua. Have you ever thought about how many people will die? Dead?" Jian Wushuang smiled disdainfully. "How can there be undead in a war? And we are also trying to defend against the Yu Kingdom. This is understandable. It is difficult. If you are afraid of death, just break up as soon as possible." The people who said this were speechless. He found out that these people were a little scared after they settled down. Fortunately, most people are in favor of this proposal. In the end, the choice was made by voting, and most people were on Jian Wushuang's side. The matter of Zhaoan has come to an end. The rest is to integrate the manpower and open Langshan County. In this way, it put pressure on Jianghua and also put a lot of pressure on Xiaoyang Wang. And he was going to take Xiangyang to Wangqing. Instead of sending someone from Wangqing, he personally went to meet the current Emperor Jiang. 3 days later, he and Xiangyang went to Jiang State by boat under the farewell of everyone. This time, they didn't bring many people. Only one ear led a few good hands to protect the two of them, and the rest stayed behind to prepare for the launch of the army. After all, this has not been discussed with Jianghua. Still need to wait. After Jian Wushuang discussed it with Jianghua, he would come to a conclusion. Otherwise, if they go, they will also starve. For the food and grass, I don't know how much manpower it will take to transport it. There are not so many people available in Marina County. So he had to ask the people from Jianghua to pick him up, at least to arrange the food and grass. These are all necessary conditions. This time he came to negotiate, boating for 3 or 5 days. Zhengwo Center, the most prosperous county, Jiangning County, has arrived. Wangqing is also located on the edge of Jiangning. As soon as Jian Wushuang and the others disembarked, a team of excellent cavalry greeted them in person. Now his name has spread in the royal city. A bandit with 100,000 soldiers and horses is not a bandit anymore. Even if he doesn't call himself the Coast Guard, someone assigns him a title. A second-rank officer in charge of receiving them even entertained them personally. Arranged Jian Wushuang and others into a luxurious courtyard to welcome foreign envoys. In the evening, they brought a group of officials, big and small, to wash the dust for them. Jian Wushuang was not humble either, accepting the flattery of the other party and accepting the gifts one by one. He must do this in order to be able to exchange for more benefits. After the dinner is over, it's time to get to the point. After sending off the rest of the high-ranking court officials, the second-rank official, Li Mi, stayed behind. The two were drinking tea leisurely in the pavilion. Jian Wushuang changed his words and asked the person in the palace what he thought. Seeing him talk about business, Li Mi's expression became solemn. "There are some things I will say it straight, this time Your Majesty's order for your coastal guards, but there are still some objections," Li Mi said in a daze. Hearing the objection, Jian Wushuang burst out laughing. Looking at Li Mi, he felt that the other party was ridiculous. Objection? Could it be that there are still people who advocate voting for Vietnam? The state of Yu invaded the state of Jiang, but claimed to be destroying the state. Can surrender be beneficial? There is no benefit at all, only living abroad. Li Mi said bluntly, "Yes, and there are quite a few, I can't kill them all. Then they will definitely object to the conditions I put forward this time." Jian Wushuang felt that this guy was a little dishonest. Before he made too many excessive demands, he began to make enemies for himself. The key point was that he didn't know whether these people really wanted to surrender, or whether they were taking this matter to pressure him. That's why I say that there will be voices of opposition, but you don't need to worry about it. The matter of Zhaoan will be decided by the protectorate. Tomorrow, you will meet with the sage. Agreed, but there is something you need to do. Hearing that the other party was so refreshing, he couldn't help frowning and said, What's the matter? Murder. Li Mi raised his head and said with deep eyes. When Jian Wushuang heard this, became even more puzzled. As soon as he entered the royal city, let him kill. It's bound to be. He frowned and wondered if there was a trap. You can't let the other party be deceived. You should know my strength, and I brought a few people here this time. I really don't understand what you mean. Jian Wushuang didn't answer, but vaguely stated that he was unable to do it. Li Mi was not in a hurry and then said, Actually, I have already inquired about your power. In Binhai County, you can cover the sky with one hand. You have contributed a lot, so don't be so humble. But that's all in Binhai County. This is the King City. That's why I need you to do it. Once you do it, your Majesty will rest assured that you will be your own. Li Miteng's remarks made Jian Wushuang silent again. Finally, he asked, Who to kill? Chapter 6274. Princess. Li Mi got up immediately after speaking. Jian Wushuang didn't send it off, and kept sitting in the pavilion. He now understands. Zhaoan was not at all to resist you, but to use his power to eradicate dissidents from the court. This Jianghua is really finished. Fortunately, he didn't really take refuge in Jianghua, otherwise he would end up following these people sooner or later. The next day, Jian Wushuang got up early in the morning and entered the palace. He was the only one who entered the palace without anyone to accompany him. Entering the palace today is just a reward. Things are still to be discussed in private. After entering the palace, they led him and sent him to the court. In the early morning today, most people were talking about him. When he entered, everyone looked at him. Jian Wushuang did not feel any pressure, stepped into the courtroom, bowed and saluted, neither humble nor arrogant. Did not kneel directly. This can be caught by those who oppose Zhaoan, who immediately reprimanded him and arranged a series of guilt for him. Jian Wushuang sneered and said sarcastically, I'm here to protect Jiang country, but what about you? I want to watch Jiang country be destroyed. Audiobook book, although not everyone is a good person. But anyway, he wants a face. These people don't want their faces. It is ridiculous to advocate the surrender of Vietnam and to say it in a grandiose manner. Being so scolded by him, all the court officials blushed. At this time, the high-ranking Emperor Jianghua spoke up. Just a soothing sound. But Jian Wushuang frowned. He raised his head and looked directly at the little Emperor Jiang. I don't know if I don't see it, but when I saw it, it really startled him. In my mind, I suddenly thought of the woman in white that I met in Candle Dragon Mountain. Although he didn't see anything at first. But the sound is not enough. Because of the rules of the court, he could not look directly at His Majesty. He didn't see it clearly at first glance, but now, after a closer look, he recognized it. And the other party must have recognized him. Just didn't speak. Jian Wushuang's heart was suddenly in chaos. He didn't even care about his own reward. He didn't react until the word retreat sounded, and Li Mi pulled him. Leaving the palace, he got into Li Mi's carriage. Only then did it calm down. Master Li, I have something to ask. Speak straight. Li Mi was very cheerful. Jian Wushuang was even more cheerful, and he directly asked a question that made these courtiers terrified. Emperor Jiang, is she a daughter? As soon as the words came out, Li Mi was immediately stunned. He quickly reached out to cover Jian Wushuang's mouth. Obviously, he knew the inside story of this matter. Otherwise, Zhaoan would not let Li Mi handle this important matter. It must be the confidant of some little emperor. Let's talk at my house. Li Mi changed his normal attitude at this time, and his tone was also very strict. When looking at Jian Wushuang, there is a murderous aura. This murderous sword unparalleled can be felt. Entering the mansion, Li Mi didn't say a word, and took him directly into a secluded courtyard. There is a bamboo forest in the courtyard, which is very quiet. Only then did Li Mi turn around and look at him. How did you find out about this? You should ask the little emperor. Jian Wushuang put his hands behind his back, with a soft sword around his waist. Whenever the other party dared to turn his back, he would take Li Mi's head first, and then bring him back to Binhai County. Li Mi didn't get angry when he heard him call His Majesty today, and said sternly, "This matter, you better rot in your stomach, or you will definitely die." His words were less of a threat and more of a statement of fact. But it's ridiculous to think about. An emperor who was about to end his country turned out to be a daughter. Jian Wushuang raised his head and looked at Li Mi and said calmly, "Even if I keep this matter a secret, the little emperor will not let me go." Well, Li Mi was a little surprised why he said that. But before he could ask, someone outside reported that it was His Majesty who invited Jian Wushuang to enter the palace. "You know Your Majesty? See you once." No wonder you know His Majesty's identity, but you can rest assured that as long as you keep this secret and kill the eldest princess, you will be your own in the future. His Majesty will never embarrass you. Li Mi was talking eloquently at this time, and felt that this was a power struggle. Jian Wushuang has a long-term view. This is not an infighting between royalty. It is the conspiracy of the practitioners. The current grievance between the emperor and the eldest princess is by no means as simple as the throne. Jian Wushuang patted Li Mi's shoulder and said, "Help me with a message. Tell Xiang Yang, don't wait for me. If I die, spare his life." "It's not that serious." Li Mi was a little panicked. If His Majesty really killed Jian Wushuang, then the 100,000 army of Binhai County would rebel. When the dynasty collapses, it will not be good for the royal family. Jian Wushuang didn't bother to explain anything, so he walked out of the courtyard. The who followed the decree entered the palace again. But this time, they didn't go through the main door, but a side door. From here, go directly to the deep palace. Jian Wushuang followed behind the eunuch, with 1,000 thoughts. He is also gambling. In fact, after he recognized the identity of the other party, he could not leave. You can only face it hard. I don't know if it's his good luck or bad luck. Not only want to see each other, but also afraid that the other party will not trust him. So get confused. After walking for a while, he stopped in front of a large hall. In the palace turned his head to Jian Wushuang and said, "Wait for a while, and I'll report it right away." "Excuse me, boss." Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. The chief entered the hall and made a report, and then led him in. But they did not follow up. Only Jian Wushuang walked in alone. There is a unique aroma in the whole hall, which makes people imagine. Standing in the center, Jian Wushuang glanced around, but did not find Emperor Jiang. He didn't rush to make a sound, just stood there and waited. After a while, the screen automatically shrank, revealing the Emperor Jiang behind. Jian Wushuang turned his head to look, and looked at each other. "Meet again." The little emperor smiled. No one would have thought it would be so coincidental. "At first, I went to Candle Dragon Mountain with the attitude of trying, but I met the Emperor Jiang. Coincidence or intentional?" Jian Wushuang was not sure that it was an accident. Because the world is controllable. If you have anything, just say it directly. Jian Wushuang said sternly. He didn't talk nonsense and wanted to make it clear. Anyway, this is a mundane world and there is nothing to say. Wanlu Shenmu used to be a big treasure to him, but now, it doesn't matter anymore. He just wanted to go out, and it was not easy to find out why Wanlu Shenmu appeared here after he went out. The key is now he can't help but say. Emperor Jiangguo was writing something, but she was not in a hurry at this time, and said in a calm tone, "I'm actually quite curious. You can take over the entire Binhai County in just half a year from a porter in the pier. It's not something mortals can do to create a coastal guard." Chapter 6275. Chapter 6275. Please don't call me Mr. Indeed. Jian Wushuang has no identity in this mortal world, just an ordinary person. But in a short period of time, an army of hundreds of thousands of people can be created. This really makes people doubt his ability. And he was very young at this time, looking only in his early 20s. It is not as big as the current Emperor Jiang. Jian Wushuang's heart moved, and he guessed the other party's thoughts. "You're right, I'm not a mortal." Hearing this sentence, Emperor Jiangguo froze for a moment, stopped the brush in his hand, and looked at Jian Wushuang with deep eye sockets. "But you are not a fairy." Jian Wushuang smiled lightly, Then if I say that my power has been deprived of you, do you believe it? Letter. Emperor Jianguo replied with a serious face, which made Jian Wushuang also solemn. This is a little different from what he thought. He felt that he would be treated as a radish and squeezed dry by the other party, but now he felt that the other party seemed to be a mortal who had not been born long. Perhaps he was too sensitive and regarded all practitioners as evil people in their hearts. No way, after cultivating for so long, he has seen too much. He has done it too. Not to mention that, in order to practice, how many people fall into the devil's way? After carefully recalling the resume of the current Emperor Jianguo, he was also somewhat relieved. A little girl in her early 20s may not be so bad. You can even collaborate. Can you speak now? Emperor Jiang looked at Jian Wushuang. A pair of eyes are like stars. The answer the other party wanted was the mysterious willow tree on his body. This Jian Wushuang knows, and is extremely clear. It can be said that no one knows Wanlu Shenmu better than him, and of course Weiss is not a human being. Actually, I don't know much. I just saw this kind of totem by chance. There are some records on it. This tree is a fetish. Jian Wushuang's ambiguity aroused the other party's greater interest, so that he could know more and give himself more chips. It's not that he fooled the other party, but to tell the truth that the other party would definitely not believe it. He is now a mortal, telling the other party that Wanlu Shenmu once appeared in the northern time and space, a time and space that is many times larger than this world. And this willow tree once came from the starry sky. It was later taken away by a super being. It is estimated that the other party will not believe it. It's even more difficult to explain. It's better to simply throw an introduction first so that the other party understands Wanlu Shenmu, which is very strange and a chance. Instead, it will make the other person feel at ease. As he expected, the little emperor was immediately aroused and then asked, "Where did you see this totem, sir?" "Dong to Great Tang." Jian Wushuang raised his head and said. When Emperor Jianguo heard this, his eyes seemed to be affirmed. Because her mother came from the Tang dynasty. I already have a yearning in my heart, and I also suspect that the totem on my back is related to my mother, so I naturally think of the Tang dynasty. Now that she has received Jian Wushuang's affirmative answer, she is even more certain. "Can you still find that place, sir?" Jian Wushuang shook his head and replied, "It's an immortal island at sea, you can't find it." He didn't say anything to death, and gave the other party some unexpected expressions. After talking so much to the little emperor, I haven't asked yet, so I naturally have to hang. Emperor Jianguo took a deep breath and said respectfully, "I already know what I want to know, now sir can ask." First, don't call me Mr. in the future, you can call me Jian Wushuang, or Senior, or Fellow Taoist. Second, is the totem behind you born, or why did it appear? Third, what state are you in now? Jian Wushuang took the opportunity to ask a lot of questions. He had already figured out that the other party was a little girl who had not been born long ago, and he had to get it right. It is the best not to be led by the nose. In fact, these problems are normal. Not to mention the first one, just to test whether the other party has a non-discriminatory heart. The latter two involve some of the other's secrets. I can answer the senior's question, but I also ask the senior to keep it a secret for me, including my current daughter's body. Jian Wushuang nodded and agreed. As long as the other party is not hostile, he will not provoke it for no reason. The totem on my back started to appear after I was 16. In fact, I didn't live in Wangqing all the time. When I was a child, I traveled with my mother in the 7 southern countries. When I returned to Wangqing at the age of 16, I was told to inherit the throne, and my mother has since left me. When I left, this totem also appeared on my back. As for my current state, I'm not quite sure. But she turned to the practice rules of this world. Guess. It is a kind of energy that can be condensed, which is incomparable to divine power, but it is also a kind of power. The first stage of gathering qi, also known as the day after tomorrow. The second step of practicing qi can be called congenital. Then there is the condensed golden elixir, the cyclone is like the sea. Then there is the infant transformation stage. When you reach this level, you are almost invincible in the world. Further up, it is the illusory divine phase. the law of heaven and earth, the appearance of the gods, the real immortal family, and Taoism. Just these things moved Jian Wushuang's expression. It was the first time he heard the practice rules of this world. It is also the first step. Trying to restrain his excitement, he is not so curious about Wanlu Shenmu anymore. Excited, he asked tentatively, "Can you lend me a look at your cultivation method?" Hearing that it depends on her cultivation method, Emperor Jianghua hesitated. Jian Wushuang also knew that his words might be a bit abrupt and quickly explained, "I'm just curious, your cultivation method is a bit special and you don't have a stable realm. Maybe you can tell your current realm from the cultivation method." "That's not what I meant. There is nothing to hide about the method of cultivation, but I don't know my own cultivation method. At the beginning, my mother just left me an ordinary cultivation secret book. If the senior wants to see it, I can let someone go get it." "That's fine too." Jian Wushuang pretended to be sorry and replied calm, but his heart was already happy. The other party does not know that he does not know the method of cultivation. In this way, he still needs to curry favor with the little Liang Wang and directly set foot on the path of cultivation. This was simply achieved without any effort, and by the way, he managed to get the little emperor of Jiang country who was hiding the secret of Wanlu Shenmu. Jian Wushuang suppressed the joy. After waiting for a while, a figure wrapped in black appeared in the hall and respectfully handed a secret tome to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang opened it casually and seemed to watch it casually, but in fact, his mind was running fast, not a single word fell, and he wrote down everything above. Combined with the cultivation realm mentioned by the previous Emperor Jiang. 4229/10824915. Chapter 6276. Chapter 6276 The Law of Practice. He quickly figured out that this secret tome can actually lead to the realm of the gods. The above content is actually very simple. But for those who have no experience in cultivation, that is the Book of Heaven. Even the little emperor of Jianghua, she can only understand the content of the day after tomorrow at most. After Jian Wushuang flipped through it, he casually threw the secret tome on the table and said indifferently, "It is indeed an ordinary secret tome, but the content of this secret tome is enough to make you cultivate to the stage of the gods. It seems that your mother is a mighty one." The more he sighed, the more he made the other person marvel at his ability. "Before my mother left, she told me that if I understand all of this secret book, I will be able to see her. Do you want me to become a god?" There was a longing in the eyes of Emperor Jianghua. After all, she was only 16 when she left her mother. Only one person took over the mess of Jianghua. With your talent and the totem of Wanlu Shenmu, it will be a matter of time before you reach the stage of the gods. Jian Wushuang comforted. In his opinion, being able to have the totem of the Wanlu Shenmu, let alone the gods, is not a problem to become the master of the universe. Moreover, the Wanlu totem on Emperor Jiang's body was left by her mother, and there is a high probability that her mother is also related to Wanlu Shenmu. Jian Wushuang licked his lips. "I have a plan in my heart. Today, let's do it first. If you have any questions about your cultivation, you can ask me at any time." "Senior, why are you treating me like this?" Emperor Jianghua was a little curious. She felt that Jian Wushuang was a little too attentive, or that he was too good to her. She knew everything. "Originally, I thought that Jian Wushuang should be an old fox and would definitely follow her around. Didn't expect it to be like this now." Jian Wushuang was also stunned by this sentence, so he could only explain. "When I saw this totem, a senior once said that the person who is gifted with this picture will definitely be the chosen one. It can be considered to hold a thigh in advance." He made up the panic at will, flicked the past, and he wanted to leave directly. "Now that I have the method of cultivation, I naturally have to go back and try it. You can't talk too much with each other, or you will be found out. Then I would like to thank the seniors. If I achieve something in the future, I will not forget the instructions of the seniors." This time, Emperor Jianghua was respectful from the bottom of his heart. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and was about to leave, but when he just turned around, he turned to look at Emperor Jiang and asked curiously, "After chatting for so long, I still don't know your name." He only knew that the other party was the 16th emperor of Jiang Kingdom, but he did not know his real name. In fact, not many people know the emperor's real name, and it is normal for him not to know. Seniors can call me Jiang Shang first. Jiang Shang? Jiang Shang? After hearing the name, Jian Wushuang froze in place, and it took a while to react. Okay, nice name. After speaking, he didn't want to stay here for a moment, held his breath, and hurriedly left the hall. Following the An leaving the palace, he let out a long sigh of relief. How could I forget, her surname is Jiang too. Jian Wushuang closed his eyes slightly, and after a while, he got into the carriage. For a time, his thoughts pulled him back to the northern time and space. The original Qi Temple. Great Xia Dynasty. There is also a little girl who is related to Wan Lu Shenmu. Her name is Jiang Shang. He is a disciple of Hui Qing. There shouldn't be such a coincidence in the world. This may be life. Jian Wushuang sighed. The mistake he made at the beginning was thought to have been broken after Jiang Shang's death. Unexpectedly, I will meet a little girl with a similar name, and she is also related to Wan Lu Shenmu. He now suspects that the other party is Jiang Shang's reincarnation. There are not so many coincidences in the world. Jian Wushuang firmly believes. Back to the mansion. He did not rush to tell Xiang Yang what happened today, but closed the door alone and began to try to cultivate. Gather the day after tomorrow. What he pays attention to is a Dan Tian, which he has done long ago in the mundane world. So a lot of detours were avoided. Qi enters the Dan Tian, and the rest is to open the pulse. Open 108 veins. When Qi flows through the whole body, one can fully master the use of Qi and become a congenital master. At that time, he can try to practice Qi, condense and improve the level of Qi, and finally condense it into a golden elixir. Jindan stage is the first step to becoming a cultivator. At least one can leap into the air and have some means of self-protection. And only after becoming the golden core stage can you breathe outsiders. This is also the reason why the Jindan period can only use magic weapons. That is to say, before the golden core stage, he was unable to use the sword. But without the sword, it is a huge loss for Jian Wushuang. That is a real loss of combat power. Without a sword, he can't beat the mundane now. But now the most important thing is to open up the muscles. The breath sank into his dantian, and he began to use his breath to condense a cyclone to open up the tendons. This process is painful for the mortal body. Jian Wushuang persisted for almost a night, and finally opened up the first tendon. With the first experience and the skilled use of breath, he can open up the muscles and meridians faster in the follow-up. It's time to find Xiang Yang. Jian Wushuang stopped at this moment. He has not forgotten Xiang Yang. Do not forget about wealth and honor. Besides, Xiang Yang is also very useful. The relationship between the other party and Xing Luo is worth helping. Now in this world, the two of them know their own details, so they can't just give up. It is natural to share the benefits. He walked out of the room, asked the maid, and found Xiang Yang in the bamboo forest. At this time, Xiang Yang was drinking tea leisurely, looking at letters from Binhai County. It's all from one ear. Seeing Jian Wushuang coming, he hurriedly greeted. It's just right. There are a few things I need to confirm with you. Langshan County has given a position, and you need to guard it. Let's not talk about that. Jian Wushuang directly pressed the letters and said solemnly, I have something important to tell you. What is more important than this? Xiang Yang was a little surprised. I found the way to practice. As soon as these words came out, Xiang Yang directly held his breath, even more excited than him. This is the dream of the two of them, are you sure? Can we cultivate? All right. Jian Wushuang raised his hand, the blue veins on his arm burst out, and he grabbed the shishiguan with one hand and directly crushed it. This is the use of some qi, that is, internal force. It's hard for mortals to do it. Xiang Yang knew it. After seeing it with his own eyes, he was completely sure that he should even ask about the method of cultivation. Jian Wushuang picked up the brush and wrote down the cultivation method he had written down. However, only the specific information about reaching Jindan was written. He had to save himself a hand, lest the boat of friendship capsize halfway. 4229/10824916. Chapter 6277. Chapter 6277. Mountain Spirit. After Xiang Yang obtained the cultivation method, he directly forgot about the rest, and practiced alone in the bamboo forest. The more you practice, the more addicted you become. But they obviously lost their strength for less than a year, which may be the charm of practice. Jian Wushuang has dealt with some more difficult things, such as the Coast Guard. Originally, it was planned to fake Jianghua and really vote for Xiaoyang King. But now it can only be faked. After arranging these, Li Mi also came to visit in person. Or about the princess. He also knew about this matter. The eldest princess knows about Jiang Shang's daughter's body. Moreover, Jiang Shang's mother was not the empress or concubine Bin, but an ordinary woman whom the Emperor Jiang had met outside. But in Jian Wushuang's view, this is not a head-scratcher. Apart from Jiang Shang's daughter, the former emperor of Jiang Kingdom has no heirs. There is no concubine, only a bright queen, still a decoration. Therefore, the throne will fall into Jiang Shang's hands. If Jiang Shang was not a daughter, he would be fine, but he was a daughter, and he was naturally jealous of the eldest princess when he sat on the emperor. That explains it. The only thing he couldn't figure out was that now Jiang was worried about foreign troubles at home. How could he still have the mind to fight infightingly? Li Mi, an outsider, was even more involved, and wanted to kill the eldest princess. Jian Wushuang didn't understand. Li Mi came to the door today because of the eldest princess. He has a showdown with Jiang Shang now, and the other party wants to help her kill the eldest princess. Then there must be some kind of secret in it, but I didn't say it before. Now drag Li Mi to discuss with him. Inside the secret room, the two sat opposite each other. Your Majesty has already told me about your situation, so I will save it from time to time to explain, and directly say that the eldest princess is not immortal, and her threat is greater than you think. Li Mi calmly took a breath of tea and told the truth. Jian Wushuang was prepared, but he was not too surprised. In the dark room, he couldn't see Li Mi's face clearly, and asked in a voice. To be honest, Jiang Shang has been away from the emperor of the subjugated country for a few days. Even if there is a threat to the eldest princess, is it possible that the threat is even greater than that of Xiaoyang Wang? Mostly, the strength of King Xiaoyang is actually not as good as your Majesty, but the eldest princess is different, or in other words, she is not the eldest princess at all, but the mountain spirit killed the original eldest princess, replacing the appearance of the eldest princess. Come to Wangqing to do something wrong. Even if Jianghua is about to die, she must kill this scourge, or she will take action against His Majesty. Li Mi's voice was a bit ruthless. Mountain spirits and earth spirits are actually some spirits. To put it simply, it's almost like a monster. This world can practice cultivation, and naturally not only humans can practice cultivation. He was not too surprised to hear that the other party was a mountain spirit. I can agree, but you have to tell me the strength of the other party. I haven't recovered yet. I'm afraid to deal with this kind of mountain spirit. Jian Wushuang had some scruples. He must have just opened up a muscle now, and even if he fights with Li Mi with his bare hands, he will not have the advantage. It is estimated that the other party thinks that his swordsmanship is magical and has great magical powers. If so, then look up to him too much. If it was before, let alone a mountain spirit and an earthly spirit, it was a mountain and earthly demon, and he would be able to exterminate it with a single breath. But now, more or less, there is no such confidence. Li Mi also saw that he was a little worried, so he took the initiative to explain. Don't worry, you are not going alone. I have also prepared a group of killers, and they will cooperate with you. It's very strong, and I want to endure it until now. When are you going to do it? Jian Wushuang knew that this matter could not be avoided, and could only face it. 10 days later, Jian Wushuang let out a sigh of relief. 10 days was enough for him to improve some strength. To be on the safe side, he also asked Li Mi to find a handy sword. The previous one was fine against mortals, but it was a little worse against mountain spirits. When Li Mi heard that, he naturally agreed. Sent away. Jian Wushuang began to retreat to open up the meridians. There was not much time left for him. Now the battle situation in Langshan County is also very tragic. A decisive battle could start at any time. He was still considering whether to help. 3 days later, Li Mi sent someone to deliver a top-notch divine sword among ordinary people. Extremely sharp, it can cut through steel. Jian Wushuang is still quite handy when using it, and he is quite satisfied. The rest of the time, he did not dare to delay for a moment. The further back the meridians are, the harder it is to get through. But he is different. The later stage, the easier it is to get through. The first one took him a day. The second he only spent 4 hours. Shortened by a third. At the back, he has 1 meridian every hour. In less than 10 days, he opened up the meridians of his whole body. The inner qi condensed in the whole body and began to condense a treasure pill. But not yet formed. Just relying on pure cultivation, the speed has also slowed down. Cultivation is inseparable from the treasures of heaven and earth. It is even more inseparable from the guidance of famous teachers. Jian Wushuang does not lack the guidance of the latter's famous teachers, so it is inseparable from the treasures of heaven and earth. No one is exempt. Innate qi practice. Jian Wu held the long sword in both hands and danced again and again, trying to find some resonance from the flow of breath. 10 cuts in 1 breath. Perfect swordsmanship, the only difference is a power. For the remaining 2 days, he mastered the swordsmanship. The 10th day has come. But the set time is to act at night. At noon, he went to the bamboo forest and told Xiang Yang about this. After hearing the whole story, Xiang Yang was a little dissatisfied. Brother Wushuang, what are we here for? In the face of Xiang Yang's rhetorical question, Jian Wushuang said leisurely, the method of cultivation. That's not right. Xiang Yang patted his thigh, and then said, we have all obtained the method of cultivation now. Why are we staying? Why are we taking risks? Just slip away. In his opinion, only fools stay. At this moment, let him abandon his wife and children. It won't stay anyway. He also went to help the little emperor and killed the eldest princess. The key is that this eldest princess is still a mountain spirit. I don't know the strength of the opponent, and I don't know the details of the opponent. There will definitely be risks in doing so rashly. Jian Wushuang listened quietly. He understood Xiang Yang's thoughts. From Xiang Yang's point of view, now they can kick Jiang Shang away with 1 kick, and then the 2 of them will run away together, go to the Tang dynasty, or go to any country in the 7 southern countries to retreat and practice. When the practice reaches a bottleneck, go out to find some the sect, then cultivated, has been cultivated to the peak of this world. That's the way they're going. But Jian Wushuang was different. He saw the Wanlu Shenmu behind Jiang Shang, and Jiang Shang was very likely the reincarnation of Jiang Shang. It's fate that we met, no matter if it's a debt or something, we shouldn't just leave like this. What if the passage to go out has something to do with Jiang Shang? 4229/10831536. Chapter 6278. Chapter 6278. Absurd otherwise, why let him meet him out of thin air? There must be someone's arrangement in it, like the prophet he dreamed of. But Jian Wushuang couldn't tell Xiang Yang directly, saying it was nothing. Xiang Yang Fengfeng is just the master of the 9 tribulations realm universe. Although he is of the same level, his combat power and realm are much worse. Jian Wushuang is the pinnacle of the 9-star universe god. I have been to the realm of the realm god, I have seen the great realm king god, and I have something to do with the celestial spirit. Whether it is knowledge or strength, it is not the same level. There are also different ways of looking at things. Before entering this world, a monster rushed out. Those are all cosmic gods, and their strength is not bad. It is very difficult for these demon gods to go out, which means that they have to recultivate to the level of the cosmic gods, and at least the 6-star cosmic gods can go out. If so, Jian Wushuang doesn't have much confidence. In the outside world, he had the guidance of teacher Xian Yi, various adventures, and the help of the Qi Temple, the king of the realm, and even the star spirit later, And only then did he have the battle power of the cosmic god. But in this world, who will help him? Prophet? That's all an unknown. The only one who can help him may be the Wanlu Shenmu behind Jiang Shang. Maybe Protoss is here too. This is Jian Wushuang's idea. So he has to take Jiang Shang, or follow Jiang Shang, to help the other party become as super strong. Take him out later. This is the best way he can think of right now. After thinking for a moment, he patted Xiang Yang on the shoulder and said, "Some things are not as simple as you think. What we have lost is not only our strength, but also our aptitude. With our current aptitude, you think we can take the next step. On the other hand, Jiang Shang, her talent is not bad, maybe cultivating her is much faster than the two of us cultivating." "You really think so?" Xiang Yang couldn't believe it. Raise immortal. It does sound a bit absurd. Do not. Is ridiculous. Jian Wushuang nodded and said to Xiang Yang, "Really, be affirmed." Xiang Yang didn't say anything, just sighed secretly. "I feel that Jian Wushuang has lost confidence." "Forget it, how do you cultivate?" "I have reached the innate realm. The cultivation system in this world is really different from the outside world. It is clear that the power has been cultivated, but it is hidden in the body." Breathing out. Xiang Yang couldn't help complaining. If you are in the outside world with the power of blood alone, you can breathe into the sky. Just skipped the beginning of the practice. Of course, it's different from the outside world. They are all ordinary people now. Similar to you, it's just that it takes half a year to cultivate in Jindan stage. We can't waste time like this. After the matter of Jianghua is settled, we will set off for the Tang dynasty, look for the treasures of heaven and earth, and improve as soon as possible. On realm. Jian Wushuang clenched his fist. He is not the one chosen by heaven now, so he has to take Jiang Shang with him. But they want to dispel the other party's attachment to Jianghua. This is more troublesome. With the lessons of the past, he did not dare to be smart again. Only by God. The two chatted for a while, and someone came to report from outside, saying that Li Mi was invited. "Come on, let's do it tonight." Jian Wushuang got up and took Xiang Yang straight to the Li residence. Walking into the door, the two of them could feel a chilling air. Inside the backyard, the 300 dead men have been assembled. Just wait for night to fall. Li Mi invited the two of them into the house and then introduced, "This is Li Axe, the dog, and this time I will act with you." "I saw you too." Li Axe was thin and his face was embarrassed, but his tone was very polite. Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang also nodded and said hello. "Master Li, if we go to kill the eldest princess in a grand manner, will it attract some people?" Jian Wushuang went straight to the topic. He still felt a little awkward. At the very least, there must be an oilhead. For example, it is true to say that the eldest princess is collaborating with the enemy and betraying the country. Just so rashly killed the eldest princess mansion, more or less embarrassed. The situation is urgent, and I can't take care of so much. There may be a decisive battle in Langshan County at any time. If the internal problems are not cleared up, this time Jianghua will really be over. Li Mi was a little sad. He has a deep affection for the old emperor, and is considered a minister of the solitary. You can't just watch the Jiang kingdom's royal family end up in such a situation. Even if Jianghua is gone, he has to save the last orthodox life of Jianghua. All right. Jian Wushuang didn't say anything more, and waited quietly for the night to come with Li Mi. An hour later. It was completely dark. Li Mi took them out of the room, his eyes were like icebergs, he swept over the neatly arranged 300 dead soldiers in the backyard, and a voice that had been squeezed from his chest for a long time shouted from his throat. "Rise." Swish. The 300 dead men drew their swords in unison, led by Li Axe personally, and climbed out over the wall. Seeing such a scene, Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang looked at each other, but said nothing, nodded to Li Mi, and immediately followed. The mysterious gate to the northwest of the palace was wide open at this time, without a single guard. Li Axe took 300 dead men and went straight to the entrance. Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang followed behind, not rushing in. The two were the last to enter the palace. But as soon as he entered, Jian Wushuang felt a cold wind blowing. There was a chill in the wind and a fierce killing intent. Bang! Clang! The sound of pig iron colliding made Jian Wushuang frown, and immediately shouted at the dead man who was running in front. Be careful of ambush. But still a step too late. Arrows soaring towards the sky are humming towards them. Jian Wushuang drew his sword to block, and Xiang Yang also took out a short knife and knocked the arrow aside. But those who died were unlucky. Even well-trained, with so many people gathered together, it is not easy to resist arrows. In an instant, most of them were killed and injured. The second wave of arrow rain that followed, everyone hurriedly avoided. Jian Wushuang also pulled Xiang Yang to hide behind a stone lion. What's the situation? Xiang Yang was stunned at the moment. Their plans are secretive. And he also said hello to the palace, which Jiang Shang nodded and allowed. How can you still be ambushed? Jian Wushuang is also not very clear, can only take one step at a time. After a few waves of arrows, more than half of the 300 people had died, and some were injured and had lost their fighting power. At this time, along the edge of the city wall, a group of heavily armored infantry came in an orderly manner. The first person, holding the Fang Tianhua halberd and leaning on the reins, shouted angrily, Li Axe, don't get out of here yet. Li Axe, who was hiding behind a stone step, heard the words and stood up directly. Yuanqing, are you going to betray? Li Axe stared at each other fiercely. He knew this person, and it was the leader of the Imperial Guard, Yuan City, in the palace. Stop arguing, lead the troops to the palace at night, you are the one who rebels. 4229/10831537. Chapter 6279. Chapter 6279. Mountain Spirit Yuanqing threw a burden and scolded, Li Mi is dead, and you will die today. A head on the neck rolled out from the baggage. It was Li Mi who had just separated from Jian Wushuang and the others. At this time, it was already yin and yang. Li Axe was furious when he saw his father's head. Yuanqing, you traitor, I'll fight with you. However, Li Axe was surrounded by a lot of people and rushed over directly. The dead man behind him also rushed away regardless. But Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang did not go. Instead, he took the opportunity to escape towards the depths of the palace. As for Li Axe, he had already died under the sword. Yuanqing even went after Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang in person. This matter must have been leaked. It seems perfect, but in fact they ignored an important issue. Going to the palace in the evening, just to say hello to the Imperial Guard, never thought that there is someone in the Imperial Guard with the eldest princess? Jian Wushuang was a little annoyed now, so he shouldn't have listened to Li Mi. I should go to meet the eldest princess alone. Or fight directly with the opponent. Also better than being sneaky. Now they have become rebels. If you want to prove yourself, you can only go to Jiangshang. Fortunately, it was the mortal palace. Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang climbed over the two city walls and entered the harem directly. On the way, a small was caught and asked about Jiangshang's residence. Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang touched them. Jing'an Palace. Two shadows passed through the guards and came to the main hall. As soon as I entered, there was a breath. It's me. Jian Wushuang lifted the screen with a cold face. Jiang Shang was wearing a white robe at this time, standing on the dragon bed. There is no one else around. Seeing that it was Jian Wushuang, Jiang Shang said in surprise, Isn't the senior going to the East Palace with Li Axe today? Why did you come to me? Could it be that you have already solved the evildoer? Yuan City in the Imperial Palace's Imperial Army should have defected, so hurry up and follow us now, or you won't be able to leave. Jian Wushuang was a little anxious. They are falling into the full set. The eldest princess must have noticed their plan in advance, and she will definitely tear her face today. If you don't leave, you will be left behind by the other party. Impossible, Yuanqing is the son of Xianghua, how could he? Jiang Shang shook his head in disbelief. But the ensuing gust of wind did not give her any doubts. A red figure came from outside the hall. The back sleeves cover the sky, and the demonic spirit is crowded. Trouble. Jian Wushuang and Xiang Yang both quickly retreated. The mountain spirit is here. TSK, little girl, is this your move? The eldest princess came in red, and her voice was like a ghost. Walking into the main hall, the door behind you will automatically close. Obviously not going to let them go. It turned out to be a flower demon. Seeing the mark on the other party's forehead, Xiangyang sneered, "A flower monster like you, I thought it was ugly to watch the house and guard me before, but you are actually doing a good job here." Presumptuous! The flower demon shouted angrily, and a long sleeve attacked Xiangyang. Jian Wushuang turned over and crossed over, breaking the opponent's long sleeve with one sword. Under the sleeve, there is a length of roots similar to grass. After being cut off, dark red blood flowed out. Jian Wushuang held the divine sword and said indifferently, "You are a flower demon, you don't practice well in the mountains, why don't you just stare at Jianghua, and Jiangshang doesn't have a lot of qi in his body for you to suck, what do you think?" Although I know that the other party has practiced some kind of magic art, but a spirit of plants and trees can't absorb the blood of the human race even after practicing magic art. Of course, there are some that can be absorbed, but that kind of cultivation technique is at least at the level of immortality. It's not at all available to this kind of monster that has just transcended the world. If there is, then they are too unlucky. Sure enough, after he asked this sentence, the flower demon was stunned for a moment, and said in surprise, "You two little guys in the innate stage actually know a lot, but this palace doesn't have time to explain to you two ants." "Huh, aren't you also in the innate stage? The golden core in your body has not been condensed, and you are here to pretend to be a master?" Jian Wushuang sneered. The flower demon did not condense the golden core either, it was still in the congenital stage. If he and Xiangyang are in the early stage of congenital nature, then the other party is congenital consummation. Of course, besides the two of them, there is also Jiangshang. According to Jian Wushuang's judgment, Jiangshang also has the strength of innate perfection. 3-on-1, the advantage is on their side. Jiangshang stepped off the dragon bed and actually pushed down his robe, leaving only his personal clothes, and his fragrant shoulders leaked. Jian Wushuang couldn't help blushing and said embarrassedly, "Jiangshang, what are you doing? You should be thinking about this, right?" Jiangshang did not answer Jian Wushuang, but looked at the flower demon. The Wanlu totem on the back leaked out. The originally ordinary totem, but because of the appearance of the flower demon, suddenly burst into a strong light. The flower demon just glanced at it, and her eyes were pitch black in an instant, blinding her eyes. Wow! Her painful wailing spread throughout the palace. Jian Wushuang and Xiangyang were both stunned. Just one look can make the flower demon become like this. Jiangshang was also a little surprised. She just wanted to know why the other party thought about the totem on her back. There is a willow tree on the totem, which is also the spirit of grass and trees, that's why she asked that. Unexpectedly, the Hua Yao was blinded. Jian Wushuang also did not expect the totem of Wanlu Shenmu to have this effect, but Xiangyang felt that the moment when the bright light just erupted, there was actually the aura of Xing Luo. After being stunned for a moment, Jian Wushuang reacted fast enough to attack the flower demon directly with his sword. "Don't stand still, take advantage of her illness to kill her. Let me help you." Xiangyang also rushed forward with his sword drawn. The two of them cut the vines spread by the flower demon together. Blood splashed all over the place. Jiangshang clenched her fists with both hands. She has a unique technique, and a green aura surrounds her whole body. Originally, she was innate, unable to leak her breath, but she even managed to get her breath to surround her whole body. He jumped out and slammed the flower demon's chest with a palm. Make up for the fatal blow. The flower demon is only innate, and it is not powerful enough to capture the opponent without eyes. That's why the three of them killed the flower demon so easily. I thought it would be a tough fight, but I didn't expect it to be resolved so easily. At this time, there was also the sound of panicked footsteps outside. Then came a voice. "The last General Yuanqing, come to arrest the assassin, please open the door." Inside the hall, Xiangyang tilted his neck, raised his sword and wanted to open the door and kill him, but was stopped by Jian Wushuang. Easy to kill. The key is not necessary. Jiangshang is still the emperor of Jiang Kingdom. No need to break the jar. Let him in first. Jiang Shang sat on the dragon chair with a low tone. Jian Wushuang waved his hand for Xiang Yang to open the door. Click. The temple was opened. Yuanqing held Fang Tianhua halberd and rushed in with the imperial army. He ignored Xiang Yang and Jian Wushuang. 4229/10835514. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.